make sure that I'm restreaming out to you, bro. Yeah, should be coming online shortly. All right, we should be good. Yeah, bro. You got headphones? So yeah. Oh yeah, you can hear me in your headphones. Okay. 31 and 32. So that's gonna be a problem. Okay, so that is gonna be a problem. Okay, now I got another fucking problem. I can't believe it. Okay, so now we got a problem. This audio. Wondering why it's feeding back. Maybe it's because. Okay, so I have audio that's supposed to just be going out of here, and it's soloed. So check it out. The weird shit is, oh wait, I think I know why. Do me a favor, man. When I leave the room, unpause channel 31 and 32.
All right, you're clear.
Okay, so this channel right here, this S represents solo.
Okay.
Hold on. Now, shit's gone crazy. 1 second. Okay, so here, this channel here represents solo.
Okay.
This solo is for input monitoring, right?
Okay.
So what we do is audits. We're sending the headphones.
From the PC.
Wait. Hold on. I'm sorry. Okay. I just trying to think of how it's. Oh, I know. Oh wait, no, that's fine. Um. Okay, so let me just start from the beginning.
Yes.
So this channel 1, it says call Clay. That's Kid Jordan.
Okay.
And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to isolate Kid Jordan's vocal to go into this foldback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way it's getting there is here you go to the settings, and then this thing that's called headphones represents an output, and that's the physical output
Of the Dell.
of that monitor over here.
Correct.
So what we've done is that solo, it goes to this bus. Cool. It does that. But what it's also doing is when I unmute the room, it comes out on the speaker.
Right.
And so I think what's happening is this console is somehow sending signal to the same bus. So I don't know why though. So
31, 32 is your stream. Is that correct?
what?
What is 31 and 32 on your console?
That's you guys control this, like the
That's
controller.
this room.
Yeah. Yep.
because
But what that tells me though is that it's some double busing going on.
it seems like it. Um,
Let me.
I could say this, just for time and convenience. If we can get it quiet enough to come into the room, it won't really make much difference because the way that the mic's angled, shit like that. If we can get rid of the feedback issue,
But we'd still be doubling down on a source, and it's gonna sound phasey and wonky.
perhaps yes.
Okay.
But so you have individual control over kids' audio, correct? That's completely different than this right here.
No, it just goes in. If it's in my window, it goes to stream. So his audio, see that green audio button?
Yes.
It's green because I'm turning on his audio in this bus. And then this is sending it to Streamland.
Okay.
So basically what I think is happening is signal is somehow being bused, whether it's through NDI or not, to also send this.
So try it. Cool. How loud is Kid Jordan? Let's find out.
Alright, I'm on stream. I'm turning up so I can monitor.
Jordan, check two. Check two, not bad, right? Yeah,
Not bad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is me, probably most likely how far he is from his laptop. And I have a cheap phone.
Great stream volume.
It's great stream volume. Is there
Cool, so
any
now what you will do is go ahead and play me something out of your two bus.
out of my two bus?
Yeah. And then we're gonna see like what it sounds like on stream. So that's you, Taylor. I'm gonna hear what it sounds like on this phone. And we're also gonna listen to what it sounds like in that monitor.
Clay, it sounds great on stream.
Right, that's true. Well, okay, so let's reverse engineer this. Let me go back and speak in the mics, I guess. Yeah, that would be the thing, right?
Yeah, because we don't need audio.
Cool. And I'm just gonna leave my phone on in here.
Cool.
Is it possible to take like 12K
Actually, yes.
Does it feel like it makes well?
Yes,
Okay, so
yes,
it's
yes,
really
absolutely. So,
well then say
Now, I would say if there's any way to gain up just what you're sitting to hear from kid, that would be ideal.
okay,
It's a little quiet, but if that affects your stream,
hold tight.
okay,
Let's try that real quick. So I can gain up kid
cool.
a few dB,
Let's try it.
and you're saying walk out some 8K to 12K action.
yeah, like 8 to 12 kind of sounds squealy.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
and
think that should be definitely with enough tuning. It's got to be somewhere between 8 and 12.
okay. So now
What am I hearing?
you're hearing.
These microphones?
Yeah. Hello. Check 1 2. Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to work. And they're going to hear that in these mics. Okay, so once again, we need to do it the right way, and we need to get this stuff out of that bus. All right?
Correct.
Collectively agree to that?
Collectively agree to that. So that's an internal routing situation.
Yeah, and I just need to figure sussing out real quick.
Okay.
Sussing the bus.
Oh, I figured it out.
That was hard. Seven magic words.
I figured it out.
Sussing the bus.
Figured it out.
I figured it out.
Man. Suss that bus real fast.
Good man. Now play
Yo,
keyboard
I'm just going to suss this bus real quick. Now that's being picked up.
through your phone.
Your control room's on,
Your
right?
control room's on, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
What a
Right
process. Okay, I'm talking, and I'm not hearing myself. Which
Great. I'm going to talk into your phone. Or do you feel more
I can
comfortable
hear
with
you
that?
talking into my phone already. And Taylor, do you hear any of this happening on stream? Checkity. Hey, so cool.
Why don't you go talk on your phone so you can get as close as you want? You know, feel good friendly.
That's sure.
And we'll be able to mute that during the show, correct?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have headphones in.
Okay, so this is me probably about the same distance as I'd imagine Kid Jordan is from his laptop. And hopefully he speaks at least this loudly.
I can do that all day long. That's great.
Cool, man. Yeah, rock on. And so now you could probably gain up since we're no longer sending studio rooms accidentally through this channel.
I'm almost maxed.
Okay, cool. Then if that's good enough, that's good enough.
I'm good enough. I'm happy.
All right, cool, brother. That's going to have to be good enough.
Great. And it's super clean. It's way more cleaner than it was before.
It's probably because of gnarliness.
That's because I'm close. I just got off. Cool. So,
So it all works.
yeah, it all works. So, actually, the last thing is if I could get on the phone with a captioner right now, that would be fucking unreal.
Caption that shit. Now, all this being said, do you need me to close the doors to the control room when the actual panel starts?
It
Avoid-
makes sense.
Let's try it.
Additionally, here at 5 o'clock, I got to get a test run going with Kid Jordan himself.
Absolutely.
forgive me if I have the same information. I would like if there is this person speaks first, and this is their name, and second or third, if there is that, it's probably not since it's like a panel
I
error.
have no idea who's speaking when.
Okay. Well then, I'm just gonna wing it and see a face and throw up their little lower third, you know.
Yeah.
So in the interim, I need to kind of get an idea of our switches.
Okay.
So, let's. Oh great! Like this did not move just now. Okay, thank God. Cool. And you have 2 of your cameras powered off, I take it?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
mine as well.
Totally cool.
Yeah.
Let me know if you want me
No,
to.
no, we're good. So, gentlemen, forgive me if I'm all scatterbrained. I'm just doing a lot of stupid shit. These guys are gonna speak kind of in a round table, and so you're obviously gonna have your static image that is just kind of like the whole panel, right?
Right.
Then you're gonna have one that's operated that's gonna go to said speaker,
Right.
and then your slider's just gonna do cinematic stuff.
Right. We're doing like cinematic panning, sliding angles.
Uh-huh.
And we're gonna do a mix of more like a wide angle,
Mhm.
and with mixing it with some medium.
Cool. So when it's kind of like a groupy kind of discussion thing, and I'm asking you guys, more than telling you guys, is I would imagine that I would kind of toggle between the static live and the cinema, and then when it's someone really just spouting some knowledge, then it's kind of more that moving camera,
The slider.
no. So I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this one. The
Yeah.
tight. The tight.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And just we're not gonna make I'm not gonna be calling shots to y'all because it's just not it's not doable.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna you guys set me up for success. I'm gonna preview stuff and switch to the happiness.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
Slide it down.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
So that being said, let's set up this preview monitor.
Do we want to also see exactly where the people that's gonna stand?
That's not a terrible idea.
Sure. I would assume it would be right here. Do we have to use this chair? It's real loud and squeaky, and it's real unbalanced.
Oh, I see.
That's why I put the other one there. Is because that. It's
I
a-
see. We
in
just
fact,
pulled
this
it
should-
out because of the blue and the red. It was really distracting.
because this is a fucking hazard.
Disaster. We have this. We have a stool. I don't know if it's very comfortable, but at least it looks alright in frame though. Oh, this is missing a foot. Everybody's gonna stand. What if I just do this?
That sucks. Yeah.
That's better.
Oh, change minutes.
Yeah, still a little bit, but I don't think it's. For sitting, I think it's fine.
That was a
So
Yeah,
you're gonna be
there you go.
asking people.
That's better.
Yeah, I had it.
Although it's
So there's one foot. So that's why I had the foot on the rug.
Oh, I see.
So it's a little bit better. So the
Or
other
the
one.
other way? No.
Other way.
Although Gwen's gonna be hopping around on that thing all night long.
Yeah, so the other three are off the rug.
There's no chance we can use this one, is there?
I don't know if Jason really didn't like the way that looked.
Okay.
Unless you have some other options.
Well, Gwen's a rather large woman. She'd be covering up most of what you'd see on that in the first place. Could put her lower on this thing.
Let's see if that.
How weird is that gonna look if everybody's a little bit higher than her?
I don't know. Would that kind of bug you that like it's not symmetrical like that? I think for the medium shots, I think I'd be panning like at an angle to go from her to like.
All right, let me see if I can find something else.
No, I don't think it could not be a big deal.
all we're establishing is that he can hear these microphones, that we can hear him, and that the stream is hearing all of us.
How about this one?
And we've already done that.
Great. Man, I think you found a winner.
Winner chicken dinner.
There you go.
Cool.
Now we just need to find one more of those so they have all 4 match.
There's only 3. So we got that.
I'll take it.
Let me see. We probably are going to have to clear out Studio B2. I'm sure there's a session that's going to be happening in there. Let me call the engineer and see if he's working in there tonight.
Is that the room we have our gear in?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to figure out a different place to put it.
Okay.
That's not it.
Let us know. So we can-
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know momentarily. Hey man, just call and see if you're coming in tonight. Okay, yeah, just let me know. Currently there's a bunch of stuff just in Studio B, which we can totally move out of the way. It's not a problem. I just wanted to know. So just let me know if you think that you are going to come in and we'll move that stuff out of there. Yeah, we go live at 7 here. So we're doing the stream from 7 to 8. So unfortunately we can't do it anytime between 7 and 8, but if there's any time before that, you can let us know. We can totally clear out that room. All right, cool. That's perfect, man. Talk to you later. Bye. He's gonna let us know if something gets scheduled. As of right now, I think it's kind of cool. So all right, should be okay.
Still streaming over here?
Bah. Yep.
You guys are just saving battery on those other cameras?
Just for the power of the monitors.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean they're plugged up to the wall.
Okay.
You want us to turn them back on?
Not if it's gonna cause you power problems.
David, can we?
Yeah, let's we're gonna turn the monitors on and kind of let us know if they look like they match really well.
Gotcha.
However you feel about it.
Sure. Wow, I just lost it in my. I just lost it again. Oh wait, no, I took it. I am prepared. That looks like a pretty great shot.
That's the one they have the main one block of the view.
Yes.
Does it feel like they kind of match?
Yeah.
Or is it
So
a little off?
there's this guy right here. There's this cat right here, and I think this dude's not powered on.
So the monitor, I think it's in standby mode.
I gotta jump on this call in about 7 minutes.
I fixed this one if you'd rather have this. Makes no difference to me. It's all up to you guys.
What do you think, David?
I'll let you decide. Decide that. How do you feel about the chairs, like visually?
I think they look great because there's yeah.
But this one versus this one.
Uh, I think the brown ones are better.
The peach thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool with me.
Yeah.
Clay, let me know if you need anything at all.
Will do.
Cool.
get Jordan to call me in 3 minutes, and he should just pop right in the meeting.
In there.
Yeah, if they decide to call us first, then that won't happen. But if they, you know, if they just jump in the meeting.
Like it, just like it. Hello. I'm trying to. My daddy might have to do it from my phone.
Hello. Can you hear my audio right now?
Yeah, I can hear your audio. I couldn't get it on my computer.
That's
for some
okay. A
reason.
phone will be great because actually a phone's nice because it actually gets the microphone closer to you. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
But one thing you can do is you can turn the phone sideways,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll help us because it'll give us a really lovely image. There you go.
All right.
Hi, this is Jason, the director. I talked to you on the phone a little earlier. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. You know,
So we will only have audio, right?
I'm sorry.
No, I now see. I see some video now. I see. Okay.
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 So all the four. I'm sorry. The 5 people in here will look at you and look at Kid and see you on the screen.
Okay.
And they'll be able to. We got cameras over here that you can't really see, and they're shooting the whole thing here, and then we're integrating Kid into the broadcast.
So is this so probably in my kitchen is a good spot so he can be seen.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is I actually would prefer a stationary camera versus the phone because the phone looks a little wobbly,
Right. I mean, I can just put it on something and just have it be like that. So.
Can we find a spot and I can help you find the
Yeah,
spot real
that's
quick?
what I'm saying. I just put the phone down. Hold on for a second. I just put the phone down on my computer so it's stationary now.
Can we find a different spot that looks a little bit better, as far as background? What do you have as options here?
I mean, I can go in my living room.
Okay.
And I gotta actually get off this call because I got another call coming in. I can go in my living room and do it there. Huh? I can do it here.
Okay.
So.
Can we not do it so low angle? Is there a way you could prop it up more like eye level with you?
I mean, I'm doing my phone, so I mean, the only thing I'd have to try to get something to prop it up.
To prop it up on?
Because, yeah. I'll get something to prop it. Have to try to get something to prop it up. Okay, so I can get him right here and have.
I
him
like
sit
the
down
other
and
way where
prop
I
it up.
could see your furniture and stuff. If that would be better.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'll get it together.
Well,
okay.
Can we do it real quick? This is what the purpose of the sound check is. I want to.
I have another phone call coming in, so that's what I'm saying. I'll get it together. I know exactly what you're looking for. Okay.
So it needs to be eye level, and the background ideally is kind of clean, and like the living room looked good, because down low it looks like it's looking up his nose. So.
Right. I know. I'm gonna. I'll move the.
Do you want to just call us back in a few minutes and go through it together?
No, because I'm going to be on a call for a long time, and I told my dad to come back at a certain time, so I'll fix it so where it'll be right. I know exactly what you're looking for. Okay.
Okay, so, and so he'll come in at 6:45 to a few minutes early.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. Wonderful. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. All right.
Bye bye. Hey. Hey, you see the zebra? Yeah, that's cool. See. Let me get off this call. So they have a different way of.
What's that? Tell her to close the browser. Oh. Oh, never mind. She's good. She just.
Okay. I just wanted to double check on the captions. So I see you said you tested it.
I did test it today. We were supposed to reschedule another testing for 4 that I had my head up my ass during that time, and so now they call me back and say they will do it at 6:30. 6:30. But we already did test it before.
Adding their email addresses, the ones they provided?
I'm sorry?
They provided 2 email addresses that have to be added into the Zoom meeting.
Yes, we did that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So to demonstrate, essentially.
But they didn't test.
See this button right here? See that button right there?
Yeah.
It wasn't there before I got on the horn with Homeboy here.
Which one?
Sorry. This closed caption button?
Mm-hmm.
So, once they join, they should be able to do this.
You have to assign it to them.
Yeah, and I already have.
But you might have to do it again when they join.
Potentially, they'll walk me through it. Dude, when I again at 6:30 is actually kind of ideal because it's the closest time we can get.
And we'll just keep them on.
We're just gonna. So I'm gonna keep. So I'm running a stream to a dummy account right now. So as soon as we're actually ready to fly, what I'm gonna do is this is gonna be our opening bumper, and it's gonna rock out right there. It's currently already streaming, so all I have to do is just turn on. Okay, so. Oh here, no. Alright, so I just yeah. And then the Facebook account will automatically bounce off clicks. Matter of fact, I'll show you that too. So, primary YouTube server, they have already built it. It's called Civil Rights Jazz and Now, Nonprofit Activism State, right? So, as soon as it does this, it now offers me this little dude. Oh, I already have one. Great. It was be buried. So, yeah. And then I just click this on, and then we're streaming to their YouTube. In tandem, I'm gonna add my Facebook.
We also have to go into their YouTube and hit go live, right?
No.
You sure?
No, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna find out.
Because it's a isn't it a pre-scheduled event that we're streaming to?
I mean, I could test it right now.
So you haven't been in their back end like YouTube login to see?
No, because I just put it in this way. So like,
So here's the thing. This is like I'm just gonna go live now.
we're about to test it,
right?
So we're
no,
gonna
no. Listen.
Okay.
This is like I'm going live to whatever your channel now. What they did was they pre-scheduled events for both their
I know,
YouTube
and
and
yes,
Facebook, and
yes,
they sent
yes,
invites to
yes.
those specific links. So if you
Understood.
just go live to
Look,
their channel,
No.
it won't go to that link.
So look, they actually had me pull a drop down disclosure. So look,
Okay.
let me do this again. Just totally start from scratch. So maybe we can also make that. So.
Yeah.
So they did have a pre-scheduled event, which is cool. Because what it does is we add the channel, right? Go to YouTube, connect to YouTube. This is their login account. We're saying yes. So this will allow Restream to see, edit, and permanently view YouTube videos, view private information, view YouTube's account, manage YouTube account. So allow, and then this is the part I want to show. Because it's pre-scheduled, I actually get to pick it. So it's not creating a new. It's this one that's already created.
Oh, there's an event drop
Yes.
down.
So
So it's streaming to that event.
we assume. So really, what we should do is test it.
Okay.
So basically, I'm streaming right now. When it's actually time for them to stream, then I'm just going to turn on those tabs, and then we believe they're going to go live. But of course, we're going to test that.
Right. Yeah, I was even wondering, are you confidence monitoring their YouTube channel and Facebook?
Yeah, I'll be monitoring their
So if you bring up their YouTube, then we should be able to test it with that.
Absolutely. And we've already done it to mine, but for the sake of what we're talking about,
Yeah.
we can do it for that.
And then the Facebook page also has a pre-scheduled event. So we need.
Yeah, and I've also.
And in my experience, you do have to actually click go live on their Facebook page to go live.
Man, I doubt that, man. I'm pretty damn certain that you just click this because this is how I've always done it for our clients.
Have you ever done a pre-scheduled Facebook event?
No.
Different.
Look, let's just go to their Facebook page and give them the status image, right? They're not even worried about that, right?
So they sent a link to a pre-scheduled event. You have to stream to that event, not to just to their Facebook page.
But
Two different
they
things.
already assigned me as an administrator. So my understanding is when I go live to them, I'm allowed to pick theirs, and I'm going to them.
To that event?
The only way-
pre-scheduled event?
And yes. The only way they can really know is if we just test it real quick. I can even send them
You
up
can preview it before going live. You don't have to go live. You can just look at it.
through Facebook though, right?
Yeah, look, go to their Facebook page.
And this is getting, man. So you want me to do what now?
Go.
Go to the page. I'm okay.
And then find the pre-scheduled event on it. Should be on there. Just scroll down to the main page. Email.
See where everything goes. I think there's two different events to refer to.
You talking about this event right here?
Mm-hmm.
So do that.
One with a
Set up live video.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me if I mean.
Yep. So
See, no.
look. So basically, you
Oh, this thing right here. Okay, so I know what you're saying. So check this out. Let me just see if that's exactly what you mean. So once I go, this guy. So, well, ideally, once I click this, that should turn blue. Is what we're thinking, right? What I'm saying is there's some just stuff. Let's look it up. And that should turn from gray to blue.
okay.
I'm not gonna press it.
Don't press it.
I looked at the product.
Yeah, because you're just going live to their page, not to the event.
Could you check their Facebook page to see if they're streaming live on it? Because this is a turn.
Click upcoming live videos and events. Click that. So no, click the use stream key.
Yep. So we're live right now.
Thank you. So I was right.
No.
We're live right now, correct? Yes, I was right.
No.
Yes.
You're not going live to this event. You're going live to their page. It's two different things.
Okay.
So this is the live. This is the event you need to go live to.
Okay.
Because this is what people they send an invite to this link.
Okay.
So
Let me get off. So let me stop streaming it.
that's the stream key that you need to go to. Is that event?
Maybe. So I'm sending to two different places in Facebook.
Only one, but you're sending them the wrong one right now. You
Okay.
need to fix that.
Okay. Well,
This is the place you need to send to, not where you're sending.
why did they do this then? Why did they set me up to where when I go live to my page, it allows me to access their site? I'm just curious.
What do you mean there?
So I am not an administrator to Oxford American Magazine. Yet when I sign into Placement, it allows me to choose that page.
Because they made you an admin.
Right. So
You
they
went
want.
through that process.
Yeah, but the reason they made me an admin is so I can stream to this page, right?
Yeah, we're just talking around each other. So you can just click go live and it'll boom. You're live on their page.
Yep.
You are set up for that.
Yep.
But that's not what we want.
Okay.
We want to go live to their pre-scheduled event on their page.
Okay.
It's a subset of what you're doing.
I need to figure out how to do that.
I'm trying to tell you.
Okay. Tell me, please.
So go to the
Yep. You want to use the stream key?
so yeah, that's the you're already there.
Okay.
Scroll down. Click the stream settings. It's the RTMP, all that stuff is down there. There it is. So that's the information. okay because you haven't clicked go live on the Facebook page. So now let's see if it's coming through in the preview window. We should see in a second. It should pop up. There it is. Cool. So until you click go live, you're not live, but
Thank
we
you
know
for
it's working.
clarifying that.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. It took me like 3 times to figure this shit out.
Thank you
It's
for
no
clarifying
problem.
that for me, for real, man. Because I should know all of this.
No, it's
But
fine.
I don't.
Dude, it's this crazy world that we're in,
Yeah.
this streaming world.
Okay, that's really lovely. Okay, so we're not done yet though. So YouTube.
So YouTube also has a pre-scheduled event, but that had the drop-down list, so you found that, so you're good on YouTube. But you could pull up the YouTube page and make sure it's coming up with the
Let's
preview
do
window.
that. So
And then you'll know
Taylor,
it's-
could you pull up
That's good.
YouTube?
Brian wants to know if you're recording.
Who?
Brian?
Oh, I did forget to ask about that. We can record on the cameras and get sources, but do you have a means to capture what you're?
I potentially do.
I could give you a drive.
He says he definitely wants it recorded.
Okay, so here's the problem. So one problem is I have a limited amount of USB resources because I am just tricked by
Maxed
this
out.
phone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I can't hook up a hard drive to record it to, and I don't think I have enough storage on my computer.
Okay.
Let me check. And then I don't think that's. Here's what I would like to do. Here's what I like to do. Record on your cameras. Drop me a sync point, and I mean we're just gonna figure it out later. If this was something
It
that
wouldn't be an edited thing though. Is the problem. So it
all right,
doesn't
man.
really help.
Well,
But
let me see how much space I have on this computer. Because we definitely cannot do it to a thumb drive.
Okay.
Because like I was starting to drop inputs and stuff, and
Oh yeah.
so.
You know what? It's all going through Zoom, right?
Yes, Zoom can record, right?
Zoom can record. So we can just do a Zoom recording.
Okay, how else am I going on?
Are you using your account or theirs?
I'm using theirs.
So they have a pro account, right?
They have some sort of paid account.
Yeah. So they have free recording. I can help you set that up too. But you want to check the YouTube page first, and then we'll do
I
that?
do, thank you.
Okay.
Let's see.
What's that? Oh, that's the.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. Well, it shouldn't go live like live. It should be in the like if you log into their account on the back end, you should see the preview window. Like in the studio.
I have that logged in.
YouTube studio.
I don't understand why it's not going live.
Because it's a pre-scheduled event.
Okay. How would I tune in if I wanted to watch it? I have to invite the event.
So both of the pre-scheduled events for Facebook and YouTube, anybody in the world can go to those pages and they'll see them at the top of their feed. It's just that this ensures that anybody who clicks the invite list will go to it automatically.
Understood.
You know,
So we actually have to sign into their thing to see this.
because it's not live.
Okay, so let me pull up that information from my brother.
So one of y'all is gonna have to click go live on YouTube and Facebook when we're ready to do it. Are you gonna do that or?
Yeah, it's on my computer.
So if you just leave those tabs open.
No. Oh, no.
Hey guys, I just got a notification after all this time from the Five Guys that said the order was canceled with no explanation.
What?
Yeah. Do you guys want to? I can give you my credit card. And you can just go grab a po' boy down the street and come back or something. Because y'all need to eat something. But I'm so sorry. I don't know why they canceled it. They didn't give me any explanation. They just said your order's canceled. There's like that Hank's place right on the
There's also French McDonald's. do like bagels and sandwiches and banh mi and stuff. And
You
then,
know where it's at. It's before.
Yeah, y'all just go grab something real quick and come back.
If you wanted like a big po' boy, would it be Hank's or Frenchman Grocery?
Po' boy, probably Frenchman Grocery.
Okay.
Does Hank's? Yeah, I mean, I guess Hank's does po' boys.
Yeah.
That's what they ordered earlier today.
Yeah.
Either way.
Okay.
Hey, can you grab me something too? Whatever. I'm easy.
Just whatever. Or...
Turkey or ham po' boy or something with some just dressed however it comes.
Okay.
I'm trying to find that oil information. I had it earlier.
Oh.
Well, if you're gonna be going live,
I don't need it anymore. I already have it on the computer. So I just need you to just click it and see.
So whoever is in this YouTube page will have to go live. So you'll go from Restream, right? And that puts it in the preview window for both places. And then whoever.
So when we go live, you're gonna go live to YouTube. I'm gonna go live to Facebook.
the soloist Oscar Mervin.
And yes, if you were just literally just like going live in the moment to their page, what you did was exactly right. This
Yeah,
is just to
you're
another,
right.
like everything else in this job, it's adding another layer of complication.
Dude,
But,
man, you're right. There's been so many mistakes.
yeah, sorry about that.
No, there's nothing to be sorry about. You didn't create live streaming and the technology involved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the
you
the
did.
pre-schedule thing is
It
nice
does.
because what happens is you can pre-schedule the live stream on Facebook a week in advance, and it's pretty nice play
I
like
get it.
promo.
It makes sense.
And then people who like that you can actually click get reminder, and they'll get a reminder, and then they just literally click on that link and it takes them to it.
I got
So
you.
they don't have to
It's
remember to go to the
accessibility.
page or
Yeah.
whatever, you know. But then
I get it.
you have to go through this
I
extra
get it.
stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. No. Okay, so. Okay, let me do that on my computer. I'm authorized to do that.
Okay.
If that's all that was. No, I need to sign into their YouTube account. No. I'll do that. Okay. So
So
now
you're in there, like now you go into that
it's here?
I think it's the little plus sign with the camera deal. You know, you click to go live. And then go to that's it. There's your pre-scheduled event. It's saying live? Is it actually live?
Are you seeing it on your? Oh wait, you wouldn't. How do I see it?
Why is it live?
Let me see if I can actually something like that. Maybe I. Pacific time though.
That would have been like 7 minutes ago.
Okay, so yes, we did.
How did
But
that
we
happen?
needed to get because I clicked the
Oh, you clicked it.
restream tab.
Mm.
So maybe we're wrong about YouTube. Like maybe if I just click it to restream, it goes for it.
Right. Well, you verified that when you clicked the civil rights tab. The only reason we were open this is just to see if it was coming up in the preview window, but I guess
But we wanna
it's
see
not
the
a preview.
screen still.
I guess it actually just goes live straight from this.
But we need to see it.
Yeah.
So reuse.
Yeah.
It's scheduled for 7.
That's right.
So maybe that we can't see it till 7.
Um,
Because we were live earlier.
I know.
So let's create a new stream.
I don't even see the old one.
And that's the same setting, so it should be the same link to be able to get there, right?
Right. Right.
Create.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
So there now it says upcoming.
Cool.
And it says 7.
Cool. So should I play it?
What if you click into it, like click the link?
Okay, great.
So you should start to see the
right.
preview
If
there.
I'm streaming, which I'm not.
But I thought it had to come here and then again you have to click go live to make it live.
Yeah, so maybe if we send it to, just like we did with Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
Send that, and then that should change color.
Yeah, you should start to see the preview.
And maybe this is the exact same thing with that we did with Facebook, where I have to find like another RTMP full link.
And I think the problem is unless you have a fancy restream account, I think you can only do
I do have a fancy restream.
only one RTMP.
I have a fancy
You got a fancy one?
Okay, so.
But I don't know.
Yeah, let's try it. Oh, hey, let's try it, right? Why wouldn't we do it?
Okay.
So.
But it should, I mean, with that drop down list, it should just be going to that event, but maybe it's the old event now because the new one was created.
Let's see.
Wait, before you do that,
Yeah, sure.
try to,
Reclick
when
it?
you add the event, remember how you had the little drop down list thing?
Yeah.
I wonder if you just do it that way, but it just needs to link to this newly created event. You want to do it with the RTMP? You'd rather?
I think both are pretty pertinent ideas.
Either one.
Okay.
Whatever you think.
Okay, so.
Yeah, see, that one confuses me.
So I create another link.
That,
And then this one, we're gonna call.
but did this work, or do we have to go through the?
What, Facebook?
No, to create the custom RTMP, we were having trouble over here on the bottom right. We went up
Oh.
to the
Uh.
to this
Oh, add channel. You're right. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah.
This is the key.
Yeah.
And so, add this channel. It's automatically going to be on the on position. And then this should change my YouTube from
Start
gray
to
to
see.
blue. Yes!
Can they see the preview coming up? Check it out.
I can preview before going live?
Yeah.
Cool. Next streaming software to start preview. It should just be waiting for us.
So something's not saying to me. Although it says you're ready, but you should be seeing what you're
Preview.
streaming in there. Is it still in the preview window on Facebook?
This
Yeah.
is our preview.
Yeah, there's the preview. You're still good, so you
Maybe I
should
should
see
just
it.
refresh YouTube.
Yeah. says multi-streaming with restream. Does that just come in there since it recognized your, like, see down there in the stream
Oh.
feed? That's interesting.
Maybe. Oh.
Share again. Just one heads up that I've encountered about this situation before is if you have these destinations up in Windows and you're monitoring your live, there's a weird latency, and then sometimes I've been like, oh crap, there's all this weird latency, and I realize it's because I have multiple windows open. So as long as your audio is muted on these, you'll be fine. Just letting you know. But
So,
still, I don't know why it's not coming up. We could.
I mean, it says you're ready with your instruction, but I don't know if you can preview.
Right. Right.
So maybe it's just the previews windows is not working. Would it be a Chrome to go live event right now? Just with the static image?
A bit early.
We gotta do your Chrome to go live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna send you right notifications.
Right. So, I mean, you could try copying the keys again, or
Yeah, that doesn't. This wouldn't activate it yet.
if it wasn't. Yeah. And it's not on the restream side, huh?
No, because once again, it's I think it's just having a problem populating the preview,
Okay.
but I'm not certain, man.
Maybe you should go back to restream and try the, rather than the RTMP code thing, like turn that off. I don't know which one is which. Do you know which one
I
is which?
don't. That sucks.
You gotta name them.
Oh.
Can you look at the settings?
Well,
in
the
it?
last one that we put on was this one.
Was it?
Settings.
That's the YouTube.
So this.
So maybe turn that one. Yeah, there you go. Turn that one off.
Okay, so turn YouTube on.
Mm-hmm. And now do the sort of thing you're used to with it, just YouTube. Add.
This right here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But go and I guess you know how when you added it and you could pull the drop down to choose the event. Can you do that? Is it under edits? Oh, you just do it when you add. So yeah, try adding it that way.
Greetings.
Yes.
How are you? Good. How are you doing? Come on in. How you been? Good. Good.
Brought some water because I didn't know
Water's great.
panel members would need.
Love water.
Yeah.
Hey Karen, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you.
You too.
Back at it again.
Back at it.
Yeah.
It's been a little while.
I know.
Check it out.
So do you see
Look.
civil rights and jazz better now?
Right.
So choose that.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see if that might pop up
Activate
in
the
the
blue
preview.
button. See if this activates the blue button.
Yeah.
Because look, it's blue now, and I'm not even. This is Facebook RMQP. You know, check.
Karen, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
At the,
And it's
I know you're saying something at the beginning of the
Yeah.
performance. Are you
Okay,
saying
that's-
anything at
so
the
that's not
end?
way.
I thought I
So,
might pop
You
up
want me to
and just do a quick
this,
thank you.
and then
And
go.
see if it shows
see
up.
if it shows
Just so we get the uniform
For
on
sure.
one more time at the end.
That sounds like a plan.
So yeah, probably 30 seconds worth
Yeah,
of
turn blue.
So it does turn blue.
thank
So
everybody.
either one we figured out.
Cool
So
with
your
me. I
RTMP
just gotta know when to unmute you, which
Right,
I
right,
now know
right,
I will do that.
Is it gonna be a live
So it's just already gonna be on you. So it's
So
up
I
to
think
me,
I-
not
I think
you.
we figured
You
out.
just talk.
Right, right.
You use
Gotcha.
that method
Yep.
to restream.
Unless they want to turn it off during the
Without using the
actual panel,
You
which
can
I don't know if they want to do that or not, but
Anyway,
they might.
No, it didn't.
But
You
that
should
would
just,
get
yeah, you
ridiculous.
should just mute
Oh,
me
did you
during the
click go
panel.
live?
Yeah, so I clicked
Oh,
voice.
absolutely,
Yeah,
I
'cause
will. I absolutely
I don't
will.
think you hit go
In case you
live.
go to the
I think
bathroom
you just
and
went
you
live.
forget to turn
Right.
it off.
No, like nightmare
Still saying-
scenario.
Yeah, we don't want that
But
happening.
you ended the stream on YouTube.
One more time and we'll stop.
Well,
Do we really?
yeah, once you end the stream, it's done.
Okay.
So the thing you just did, where you did the thing with the same settings, you gotta do that again.
We're just gonna keep making it more and more complicated.
Yeah.
Every time we do this.
This one's a bit complicated. I'm not gonna lie. The captions really made things kind of swirly. 'Cause
Yeah.
you have to route through Zoom
Zoom.
and then out. You got it worked out, but you gotta come up with something.
Right. And we have a panel member
Yeah.
by Zoom.
And there's routing so that they can hear him and they can hear them, and it splits out so that they're not duplicated. And
Right,
it's,
right.
It's a little complicated, but it's all good. We're making it
So
happen.
look how much you're learning.
We are. These guys are awesome. They're the stream team.
Excellent.
And
Okay,
Did
so
you-
now that event's missing now. So I could create a new one.
on which one?
So you know how we used to be able to choose it?
Yeah,
It's now gone.
because you had fixed it.
So now what do I do? Create a new one in here?
So
Like we did earlier?
So go out to schedule stream. I think it's not in this window. So yeah, click schedule stream, and then reuse settings. That's the one. Okay, same time, same everything. Yes.
Sound like begins.
Okay.
And then
All right. Now it's upcoming again.
oh,
Does it say 7 p.m.?
so which is alright.
So you click on the event itself, not the checkbox. So
Oh, sorry.
just click that. Yep. Okay. And then
Create new. Let me have to probably back out.
here's a question, because I think I know what it is. Is when you do it that way, it just goes live automatically once you
Are
click
you
it.
are you certain?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So do you want to do it that way? It's totally fine.
I just
do you
wanna
want to
do it-
trigger it from Restream, or do you want it to see the preview and then click go live?
I need to see the preview. And I think only
Then
one
do-
way works for the
Then do
preview.
the custom RC one.
And just to throw another wrinkle in, did you see that Oxford American announced that the stream would start at 6:45?
Oh, really?
Might
Yeah.
have a test with the captioners at 6:30.
Yeah, I think it's just so that it's like runnings, so that people don't, people aren't trying to log in at 7 while we're starting right at 7. The
Gotcha,
same problem
gotcha.
we have with the golden hour stuff.
Okay, I mean we could just run their logo,
Yeah,
and I might be able to. I'd have to get on the captioners. I'd have to knock out that caption thing at 15.
Yeah.
So okay, so here's
unless you can do, yeah, like you said, like a
we'll figure
logo
it
with
out.
no sound.
Okay, so let's.
Yeah, no, we'll make sure we do
I'm
that.
sorry to interrupt you guys. I need you right here with me, man. So
Okay.
what were we doing?
So
He's creating another one of these.
creating a custom RTMP.
But I already have one, right?
It's a,
Like this dude right here.
well, but the settings are now tied to the new event.
Okay.
So have you been
Add
busy?
channel.
A lot of people been.
Add new custom
You know,
marketing.
it's in the
Oh,
past
exclamation
month,
point.
it's gotten really,
There,
really
it's
busy.
on the same page.
It wasn't like that before, for sure, but yeah, it's now it's kind of picked up a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine by this point, a bunch of musicians have been like, I've been working on this thing.
I know, exactly. Everybody's getting antsy to come out and make something happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, it's picking back up again, and it seems like everybody's being
So now-
very responsible and safe about it. That was my main concern, because I didn't want to open
Yeah.
if it was
Is this
going to
the way
be
you
a
got my
bunch of
preview last time?
yahoos not taking this seriously,
Right.
and
No,
masks,
well, so
stuff
here's
like
the
that.
thing: is it didn't give you
But
the
luckily,
preview.
They went automatically.
they could.
When we
All of
tried
this
the other
stuff,
way, it went
is,
automatically
everybody's
live.
been
So
very
I'm
responsible.
feeling pretty
Yeah.
confident that if you just click
Very
go live,
mindful, and it's great because
Is that my
like
preview?
it's a big enough room, people can be
I'm not
separated.
sure why it's not pushing the preview.
Honestly,
but-
I'm in the control room all day long. And I
Can I
basically never in the same room.
Right.
Then,
Yeah.
Oh, then I have to
then
go
That's
again.
good.
Yeah,
Since you're the one who's here
This is too
when
much
everybody
mystery,
comes
though, you know
in.
what I'm saying?
exactly.
well, if you go live at 6:45, you'll have time.
Yeah, we've been pretty.
Can we at least go
Been
see
pretty
what
good.
we sent
Yeah.
live?
Yeah. How about you? You been busy?
Yeah, I mean we've been working
So
from
you
home
should
this
have
whole
their
time.
Facebook page and their
Um,
YouTube up.
So like everybody in the world, we're doing a lot of digital content that we never did before, and learning. We've been learning all about
And then
Section
you
508
also
compliance, which is all of the
Zoom doesn't
stuff
even
for
moderate
people with
it.
disabilities.
All it is
So
Oh,
making
okay.
sure that all of our videos,
And
like
there's no guest in
these guys are doing, making sure we have
So when he comes on at
captions on
6:45,
everything,
he's
that
yapping in the background.
videos are audio described. That
Sure.
any websites have alt, what they call alt text for the photos, so it like describes the photos, and
No, not under.
everything can be read by a machine. And
For
you know,
sure.
we basically discovered that our entire
It
website was not
YouTube,
508 compliant, so
Oh,
we're
wow.
like rebuilding, huge chunks of the website. So
Sure.
that's kind of stuff. We're actually getting ready. We're gonna do a very limited reopening of our visitor center in the French Quarter
Okay.
next week. So it's going to be not like our regular visitor center, but another room with temporary exhibits that has like 3 doors that we can keep open and have lots of air
Oh,
flow
good.
in it. And we have a courtyard, so the Rangers will be outside in the courtyard
Which one's the one
as
without?
long as the weather's good. And
That's great.
yeah, so I'm like, I don't really want to be inside a visitor center, and even though the city has a mask mandate, the National Park Service
The one
has
about
a
the
directive
preview
that
6 months
says you may not require people to wear
No,
masks.
that was
Oh,
the
really?
That's because of our administration.
But you don't have to advertise that, do you?
No, but it's, so what we can do, we can put up signs that encourage people to wear masks, and we can remind people to stay 6 feet away.
Oh, I know.
But like I'm not gonna like go up. I might say like, hey, don't forget to put your mask on, but I'm not doing anything
I know.
more aggressive than that, because also like,
What is the name of
it's
the-
crazy, you know?
There's a lot of crazy people.
Right.
A lot of people walking around the corner with no mask.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, and we just don't need anybody to like have a freak out on a government
I
official.
guess if it's carrying that over, we should paste
Oh,
the
absolutely.
description in too.
So, I actually got a face shield, because I'm like, that way I can protect myself from other people.
For sure.
And other people are gonna do whatever they're gonna do, so.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I did a live stream at Preservation Hall a couple weeks ago, and everybody at the hall was great, very compliant and all that stuff. But it was a Saturday night, and we walked outside, and it was like
Oh, geez.
Mardi Gras, and
Yeah.
nobody wearing masks, and everybody's drunk and hanging on each other, and throwing up
Yeah.
everywhere. I was
Man,
like,
I saw
"Oh,
the pictures from Halloween night, and I was, oh, man.
yeah.
See, we've done a really good job here of knocking it down, but
No.
as the more we reopen the bars, other people come, and then
No.
they just bring it back. So,
That's the problem. I mean, I would love to be able to go to a bar, but I'm not going to do it right
I
now.
know.
You know?
They're gonna need to, we or
Sometime
they are
soon.
gonna need to
No.
see all those old things.
I'm glad that more outdoor events are starting to
Test streams, we
pop
just.
up, like the Broadside. The
I-
Broad Theater, they bought the junkyard that was next to them, they cleared out the junkyard,
Oh,
and
really?
they created an outdoor theater.
Great.
It's awesome, and so the way they have it set up, they have like carpets like this size, they have 2 Adirondack chairs on this carpet, and then 6 feet over there, they got
Do I
another
have to
carpet
keep
with
this
2
page
chairs.
up?
Oh, great.
And so it's all really spaced out.
I don't have to keep this page up on 6
That's a great
They
idea.
sell beer,
Is this
hot
monitoring
dogs.
audio?
They've been having,
Okay.
on the weekends, they've been having like a live jazz band
Oh, wow.
before the movies.
So,
Fantastic.
So yeah, I actually got to go listen to some live music.
What's
And
that?
I know, right? And then watch a movie. It was exciting.
That's cool. What'd you see?
We saw,
and then
what's it called? It was a movie it was filmed in like the 80s, and it had
I'm looking at this document.
the Italian actor from Life is Beautiful,
Yeah, Roberto Benigni.
Roberto Benigni,
Yeah.
and
Chris Flower. No, Christy
God,
Carter.
it was set
so good.
And so, like, everything that happened was, I was like, everything is crazy in that movie, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Karen, can
yeah.
I ask you a question? We
Yeah.
just want to make sure we have the right graphics queued up. Can we go over the names that are actually going to be in the panel today?
Yeah.
So we have, who do we have? We have Gwen Tompkins.
Gwen Tompkins
So she's gonna be in it.
is the moderator.
Gotcha.
And then it's Christopher Park and Kelly Hurt.
Isn't it Parker? I thought it was Parker.
Parker,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sure.
Christopher Parker, Kelly Hurt, Gwen Tompkins,
And then the saxophonist is Bobby Lavelle.
Robbie Lavelle,
L-A, capital V-E-L-L.
and then
And then
Kid
Kid Jordan on the Zoom.
Gotcha.
So if you want
So
to
you
lose
won't have
other-
Chad?
No, Chad's not doing this.
Okay. And then additionally, you won't have who else?
Ryan.
Just name the ones and let her say anything. That is easier.
So Ryan is gonna do an intro, a quick intro, and then I'm gonna do a quick intro. It'll be Ryan and then me, and then it'll go to the panel.
So there won't be Roland Guerin, correct?
Nope, no
Right.
Roland Barron and no Brian Blade.
And no Brian Boyd. Okay, so I don't even have a graphic for Brian Boyd. So, once again, the participants are Kelly Hunt, Ryan
Hurt.
Harris, Kelly Hurt, Ryan Harris, Mark Franklin,
No,
okay, Karen,
right?
Gwen,
Yep.
Christopher Parker, Bobby Lavelle.
Right.
Do we have Kid Jordan?
We
Kid
can-
Jordan.
Okay, cool. You want to, let's put Ryan Hurt and Karen first. Is Ryan's going to go first and then you?
Ryan Harris.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Ryan's
He's the
gonna
first
go
speaker.
first, then me.
Okay.
and then her,
Okay.
and then Gwen.
And can we just check the spelling of my last name? Because it always gets messed up.
Yeah, absolutely. So the spelling is P-H-O-M-P-K-I-N-S.
No,
That's Gwen.
Karen.
Oh, I'm so sorry, man. A-M-A-G-O-S-E.
So it's A-R-M.
Okay, A-R-M-A-G-O-S-E.
That's right.
So the order is,
Ryan.
you want to put them in order?
No.
How are you going to know who's who?
I know what it looks like. But yeah, if I can, I will.
So Ryan's first.
Okay, gotcha, thank you. Ryan, then
Then Karen.
Then Karen.
And then she's going to
And
pitch
then
to Gwen.
I'll go, yeah.
Gwen Tompkins.
And then after that, I don't know what order people will be sitting in, so.
Okay, so Ryan, then Karen, then who?
Gwen
Gwen.
Tompkins.
Thank you. Okay, then,
Then I don't know,
okay.
I don't
So-
know what order people will.
So can we, I know you've been focused in the weeds of it. Can I talk you through the program? Because you're going to be switching and you're going to need to know who's who. Okay. So Karen and Ryan are going to be standing out here, right?
Okay.
And they're the opening presenters. The panels are all, people are all here, right? So basically, Ryan's going to say a few words, right? He's first up, presenting from Oxford American.
Standing there?
Yep.
Microphone for him, we'll just be
Lab.
moved up? Oh, gotcha.
It's all up and
Okay.
running.
Okay.
So then he talks to camera, pitches it to Karen. Karen talks.
Okay.
Title them both.
This is the wide shot?
No tight shots of each one of them.
Gotcha.
These
Is it
are.
gonna be the big camera?
Understood.
So they'll be looking into the
Gotcha.
tight cam.
Cool.
So Ryan, then Karen,
Okay.
and then she's gonna pitch. They're gonna kind of clear off and pitch to Gwen.
Mhm.
Tompkins is the moderator here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Then
you'll
we
probably go to the wide shot
static wide,
first to
yeah.
kind of like hear, and we're here. They'll say who's with us. You'll go to the wide shot.
Start with static wide.
Yep, and then
go into the two presenters up front,
right,
and then
and then I would go back out to wide to show the group, and then Gwen's going to start talking, and you go to Gwen.
Okay.
And then really after that, she's going to be pitching questions to the group, to Kid,
cool.
etc.
So then I'm switching in between Kid and kind of freestyling the rest.
Yeah, I mean the 3 camera angles. So basically, the tight shot's going to cover whoever the active speaker is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The slider shot is going to cover like a medium.
Groups kind of.
Yeah, and then the wide shot you always have as a safety.
Thank you.
So just kind of nice, not frantic, but just kind of
Yeah.
every
slow,
maybe like
not so deliberate.
10 to 15 seconds, you know, cut to another shot.
Yeah, you're right.
Just keep it interesting.
Yep.
So it shouldn't be hanging on that wide shot for more than,
Understood.
you know.
All right.
Karen's
So
gonna
that's it.
bookend it, so she'll say the final.
Yeah. So at the very end, she'll come back on, stand here. She'll have the lav activated again, and she'll.
So we're going to start with the graphic, go live to the wide shot, then we're going to hit up the Karen and Ryan up front.
Yeah.
Drop graphics on them, or
Yeah.
wait till drop graphics until they have a tight shot. It makes sense to do it on their tight shot, right?
On their tight shot.
Yeah.
So Ryan first with his graphic.
Right.
Then Karen tight with her graphic.
Yep.
Then pitch out to the group, right?
Mhm.
And then when you come into the tight shot of Gwen,
Mhm.
the moderator,
Mhm.
give her a graphic.
Throw Gwen. Yep.
And then when they get here,
And then when I get Kid Jordan in, same thing.
when they get here, you'll need to know who these people are so you
Yep.
can title them when they first come
Who's
up.
sitting there?
We can go ahead and determine
Yeah.
the order.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
I'm pretty familiar with the faces at this point.
Okay. So what? Who are the three?
Christopher and Kelly and
So Christopher and Kelly should probably be in the middle because Christopher and Kelly wrote it,
right.
Okay.
and then maybe Bobby over here.
So,
So-
I'm familiar with Christopher.
Christopher here.
Yep. Kelly will be the other lady that
Kelly.
was singing earlier, correct?
Uh huh.
Yep.
Cool.
Kelly, and then who's this?
Bobby.
Bobby Lavelle.
I'm familiar with everyone's faces.
He's
Okay.
the saxophone player.
So you just got to remember Ryan, Karen, Gwen,
Yep.
You know,
and then the rest you're good.
I'm Karen.
Nice to meet you, Karen.
And it's all in order here, so.
Awesome.
I'll use some change. I think I left it in my car, but I'll go get it.
Oh, dude, I don't need to change at all.
There's change. There's a receipt. I think
Oh,
I
thank
use
you.
your card. Okay, cool. You know, tax purposes.
Here's a question.
Yes.
So Ryan said we could roll to 8:15, but I don't know what your agreement is with.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we
And
might
the
go.
captioners are okay with that?
I don't know. That's a good question. We're gonna do a test with. Wait, are we doing another test with the captioner? Or?
Yes, at it's funny. It's 6:30, and then we have to start at 6:45.
When we're on with them, they want to go till 8:15, 15 minutes longer. So we just need to ask them if they're going to keep captioning. So when you get them on, I'll ask them that question.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Because if they're a hard stop at,
Thank you.
if they're a hard stop at 8, then we just need to wrap.
The wrap.
I have one.
Gwen will go as long as she's.
I know. I already told her 8:15 was our hard stop, but if we need to reel her back at 8, I'll
If you
take
tell
care
her
of it.
8, she'll go to 8:15. If you tell her 8:15, she'll go to 8:30.
I'll have to figure out like
Exactly right.
you know, like okay, Gwen, 10 minutes. Okay, Gwen, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
She's not gonna have anybody in her ear, is she?
There's nobody in the ear. It's just through the monitor. Just Kid Jordan come through the
Right.
monitor.
Okay.
That's
So
it.
I'll have to just stand up and wave my arms at her.
Probably.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry the weather's not cold, but
Oh, no, I like to put it.
okay, good.
It's all good.
I was like, I stopped at the grocery store
Mm-hmm.
and picked it up on my way because they never buy any water for you guys doing these things.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, these panelists are gonna talk for an hour.
I've got water too.
You have water too?
Yeah,
Okay,
I've got
good.
cold water for you.
Well, you know, it cost me a whopping $4, so I figure I can.
Do you have access to Cat Vale, the lady who was doing the caption's phone number? I mean, I'm sure it's buried in an email somewhere, but I was just wondering how to phone.
I think it was just emails this year.
I'll just search Cat.
It's just a bathroom if anybody wants it.
What you gonna set it up right? I'm gonna set it up right here. So Oh, okay. That would be too much if you move. No. I mean, because he's dead. He's got to be able to see, and then I gotta leave it so it's stationary. Ma. Okay, I think this is gonna work. Okay, let me charge my phone. This man is completely nuts. Completely crazy. You see, it's children. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that little boy is autistic. He don't know. You know what I mean?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Don't worry about
What's her name again?
No, I'm just sitting. Huh? You just sitting. You want me to fix your plate? I wouldn't mind. Yeah, so we're gonna set it up over there, so that we doesn't have to move all over formation. You know, if I laid and just pull up just a second, I would have all this thing. Just get a little sack out. We're just gonna right there.
Jordan's trying to get their Zoom set up.
Man, it's completely nuts. Here's the paper towel. Yeah, I don't think the water. What they think about it, I just ride this off for this. Pretty good. Interview the big one. This is veal, girl. What I'm trying to do, you know. And but you know, like I see. Skinnamarink Dingadoo is talking up a storm. She's singing and talking, and she's getting it together. Every day she come a little further. They have a little butter in there. They do. They have butter already. It tastes pretty good. You can like it. You want salad or something like that? Well, how did I become the associate secretary? I'm like, I'm doing more work now than anything. I'm like, see, the people who demand, I'm like, you ain't gonna put no demands on me.
Hi.
Hello.
How you doing? Maroney Studios.
Hey, checking to make sure that that my dad didn't have to move from his
Sure.
house.
I understand.
Okay. All right. Cool. I can show you the set too.
Cool. Let me get my producer here real quick.
Okay. Here you go, Mom. Let me go get it set up. The way it's supposed to be. Okay, cool.
Hey, Jason. I'm sorry. She wanted to make sure that that was a good look.
Okay, I'll be right there. Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, Jason's coming. He'll be here in just 1 second.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
I mean, I don't see myself. I can see you, but I don't know if you can't see me, can you?
I can see you. And there's a little. You should, if you want to see yourself. There's a little. There's a icon on the screen. It probably just is a red. It's probably a red box, or some sort of box.
Yeah, it's a red box.
And you see yourself now? Oops, I think you disconnected maybe.
I don't know why it's not sure.
Okay. Yeah.
But I just want to let you.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Hey, how are you doing? Okay.
Good. I just want. I didn't move my dad to my house. I just came over to his house, and I'm
Yeah.
in his living room, so it's right behind. So this should be better for the thing. I lifted it up. Is this good?
It's good. Is there any? Do you have like some books or something you could get it up a little bit higher? It's
Yeah.
still kind of low
Okay,
angle.
it's already on to books. I'll get it on to more books. Hold on.
Sure. Oh, yeah. No problem.
Put it up higher. I mean, I can't see. I mean, no, I could see it before, but now I can't see it.
You
I
can't
don't
see
myself
us?
on the screen. I mean, I see you, but I don't see myself. So
Oh, I
can't tell
see. I see. Okay.
where the angle is. Maybe I should call in again, huh?
So yeah, there is a box
Should I
on the
call in
window,
again?
and I don't think it's a red box. It might just be like a gray or green box.
Right. I mean, I've texted. I've done the thing so that the camera should be showing at the very bottom. But,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Oh.
'cause but it's not.
Yeah, and if we
maybe
can
I
get
should
you to
call
set
in.
up to where you can see yourself, that's great. If we can't, it's really not. It doesn't affect the production at all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think
Okay.
it was.
Well, should I try to call in again?
Go ahead and turn it back horizontal mode. If you could, just turn it back horizontal mode for us. How y'all doing?
Jason, he's
Hey,
the
Ron.
producer from Elephant Quilt.
Nice to meet.
Chris,
Hey,
Kelly,
Rachel.
and Bobby.
Nice to see y'all. Good. We're just getting Kid Jordan's Zoom set up here. Can you? She might have just. Did she just sign off there? Okay. Well, we'll let her call back in. All right.
Okay, I got it.
There she
Okay,
is.
now.
Okay. All right. Wonderful.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
so
that-
this will work, right?
That'll work. Yeah.
This will high enough, so he'll be about right here.
That's perfect.
And,
That's perfect.
All right, cool. All right, so let me just charge up the phone and make sure. How long is the interview for?
So it's a panel discussion, and it'll be about an hour.
Okay, yeah. Let me just charge up my phone real quick and make sure
Okay.
my computer's charged up, so in case he can just put it in in the computer. Okay. All right. Got it.
All righty. Thank you so much.
All
So you're gonna just stay with us? Well, or not? Okay.
No. I was gonna because I gotta get them some dinner and stuff. So I'm like running around trying to do a bunch of stuff.
Okay, so you're just gonna
I
pop
will-
back in. It's like 6:45.
Yeah, right.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, okie doke. Bye bye.
Well, so this is our setup. We have 3 cameras and David over here. This is Karen. You met her. And this is our streaming crew over here with Clay and Taylor. So it's and then Kid Jordan's gonna be up here on the screen, and he can hear y'all, and y'all be able to talk to him.
Okay.
Gwen Tompkins, our moderator, is on her way.
All right.
And yeah. So, and we had some. Did we have specific assigned seats, Clay? Can you remember?
So not necessarily, but if we're gonna play that game, if we could get Gwen Thompson's closest
Gwen,
to the door,
this would be Gwen.
Yeah.
and
Ideally, Chris would be
if
here.
we could
Chris?
if we could get Kelly next to her,
Oh, Kelly. Okay, we can do Kelly.
and then Chris.
I usually make my kids sit boy, girl,
and then Chris.
or they talk too
Right.
much.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
Good stuff.
basically it would go
Gwen.
Gwen, Kelly, Christopher, and Bobby.
And Bobby.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that work for y'all?
That seat doesn't work for me.
Okay.
Yeah, let's find a different
Do you want this one?
Oh, we have
Some of the back on,
Yeah.
something in the phone.
Can I take this off here? Let's use this one.
That's great.
That'll work?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
So
Thank you.
kind of read.
Got it.
We are going to start the show.
Here we are.
Well, what's a comfortable position for you for talking? Right about there? Fantastic. What's comfortable for you? You're good?
That's fine. That's good for you.
Kelly, let's see what's comfortable for you.
No, I don't know. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always like, once you start, it's fine, and then it's over a minute later.
That's right. Yeah. You feel okay enough? Yeah. And then but that same camera shot is gonna go higher.
We did.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We lost power the day of the hurricane. It came on Thursday morning, and then Friday morning we lost power again. But
obviously it's not gonna go. It's not gonna go.
Like the order in which they have to
Kelly,
do things.
look how they froze Rachel.
Rachel.
You know, kid Jordan, our friend who plays tenor, that's his daughter. But she is like a first class, like first violinist, New Orleans Symphony.
Yes.
Just a rough. I mean,
It's beautiful, beautiful. Playing.
Talking
Oh
about-
man.
playing the crap out the violin.
Man, I wrote some string stuff for Mark Gross, and he couldn't afford enough strings to really pull it off. You know, because you need, what, 2 or 3 first strings, 2 or 3 second.
Yeah, you need really double the amount of violins as everything.
Yes, and then you need a couple of cello. I mean, a couple of
Viola.
You know, and at least 2 cellos. And he just didn't have it, so it didn't have the rich sound. He tried to double it and stuff, but it just never sounded as I envisioned it, because you just have to have more.
Whatever you have on viola and cello, you need that whole number for violin, really,
Absolutely.
to make it cut.
But I don't know. I'll get a chance again one day
I just didn't want to keep this framed
to
wide.
do something.
I'm gonna make sure that every bare minimum. If Lou's gonna get the lower thirds, we're gonna go in that order. Once we get into freestyle land, it might be in reverse, kind of like where the discussion is.
Anyway, it was a great kid, but it could have been a lot worse.
So just to talk through, and I'm sure you're on this, but so you'll
Not
push
very much
live
rain.
15 minutes early. By
It was
going in,
so fast.
flooding either.
No flooding.
They're already on, so.
Our preserve, on the west bank is still closed.
And when you put the bumper up
So
to
that's
645, can you make sure that there's no audio?
Move your chair a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember that short note.
You can always say raise your hand.
Okay, perfect.
Then you don't have to worry about it.
Good point.
A little closer, you had it just a little
Yeah,
closer.
yeah.
On the screen.
It's gonna
think it's
probably,
good.
yeah, it's where you can lean right up to it.
Right, kind of lean in when you talk a little bit.
I've been with the Park Service off and on since 2013. This was my first season. So this is my second career. I had a whole career in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Working for nonprofit groups like that. Then I moved to New Orleans and I went back to school and I studied history. I went to grad school and I studied historical fiction. And started writing a volunteer
I do think you're probably gonna just to keep not so similar to that.
And I've seen
Let's see if I
I
can
was
get
off and on.
any information. Because I couldn't get the internet in the hotel, and I was.
It's crazy. 2020, I finally got a permanent position,
It's amazing how much we've come
which I'm grateful for.
to depend on it.
Man,
You know,
life is just different, man.
it's different.
Shoot. We were watching a comedian a while back, and he was like, the thing now is, if you get into an argument, you can't lie anymore. Be like, no, the Cubs won the World Series in 1940. No, you can't say that no more because now Muggs, hold on. It's an instant.
Hmm.
How are you doing, Ryan? Well, how are you?
Look at those gongs.
Sorry, there's all that.
I told him about how we heard about the sun sound.
Yeah. It sounds like one of those hanging ones.
We were watching a science program this morning. They gave us a sound of what the sun sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It sounds like when you hit a real low gong and you just go boom. The
Boom.
vibration, that's what the vibration of the sun actually
Live,
sounds
live
like.
on Facebook.
Like a vibrating gong.
When they were testing
It's like,
their
oh, whoa.
Let's see. I'm sorry, man. I'm trying to.
we should do that.
Oh.
They're basically just like tests that have the same title.
Oh God, yeah. Could you guys just do that?
Just continue.
Yeah, please.
No problem.
And did you guys figure out the capture stuff for this evening?
Yeah, I think the best way to do that, since we, and I should have suggested something for that earlier, but would be to just use, since it's routing through Zoom, is to
Everything's routing through there?
is to just use the Zoom recording feature. I mean, we'll also record all the native files on here. It just won't be the multi-tracks. You know, the switch. You know, the
I see. Right.
But the Zoom will capture the switch recording.
Correct.
With the captions.
Do you have internal, like the feature that, I mean, you have a pro account, that should allow you to.
Yeah, just ask Quay to set it up. I actually think I clicked the button to tell it to record on
To
that.
record, yeah, we'll double check that.
Yeah, perfect.
Sounds good.
That's like the easiest way, because then it'll be,
The complete
it'll all,
program that does that.
right, it'll already have the captions that are time-stamped and can be reproduced to other,
Yeah.
you know, we want to just play that on Facebook again
Exactly.
without having to re-edit and
Yep.
send it out to the caption. So, yeah, I was like, well, if the Facebook Live breaks down, it can still be recorded and we can just
Exactly.
play it again.
Yep. Yep. I mean, the thing is, there's the internet can go out, power can go out.
Anything can happen.
It's
It's 2020, we're in New Orleans, it's,
that's right. Oh man, it's 2020 is the best explanation for.
what are we gonna say next year, you know?
I know. We won't have any excuses anymore.
That's the best excuse for all the crazy things that happen.
So you just go in
Yeah.
and we'll just delete this.
To talk about Jean Lafitte, because I looked it up a little bit, but it's like
Oh, come on.
a series of.
So Jean Lafitte National Historical Park and Preserve has
Oh,
6
crap.
sites that make up the park.
Okay.
So we have a visitor center in the French Quarter that talks about the diverse
Wow.
cultures from New Orleans. downriver we have the Chalmette Battlefield, which is where the Battle of New Orleans was fought in the War of 1812. So that old Johnny Horton song,
Okay.
that was there.
Okay.
And there's also a national cemetery there that was established during the Civil War.
Okay.
Then across the river is Fairview Reserve.
Right.
So that's 25,000 acres of wetlands. About 8 miles of boardwalks and trails. And then further west of New Orleans, we have 3 Acadian Cultural Centers. So we have Wetlands Acadian Cultural Center in Thibodaux. We have the Acadian Cultural Center in Lafayette, and then the Prairie Acadian Cultural Center out in Eunice.
Before we truly begin, I would like to start by saying that there are references to people of color, meaning people with more melanin in their skin than others.
Yeah,
Makes my
that's
cursory look at him as like he's a warehouse owner, kind of pirate, and
yeah, he's terrible.
I must use such archaic descriptions, and for that, I apologize.
it's
Yeah,
probably not
I mean,
worth
he
asking.
was,
There's plenty of things,
that does not
streets
mean
and
that
things
he
with
was-
names of people.
Right, he was
That is a
a
notion
slave trader,
I cannot
Okay.
I do wish that you would enjoy the story that I have chosen, and I wish that you would learn from it. It is fact, a part of our history that must be remembered, lest we repeat it.
In the future, Jean Lafitte may lose
By the
his
year
title as
1900,
We-
people of color, namely people of African and Caribbean descent,
maybe,
Is it
were freed from
conventional?
slavery
Is
in less
there
than 50 years.
well, I would
historical
say
society that wants to
that,
preserve his
They were still
legacy or
considered
something?
less than those of the
so
Caucasian
on the other
race.
side of
Jim
John
Crow
Fleet
laws
is
were
that
fully
he,
in effect, and the stance of separate but
allegedly,
equal was in full swing,
in some
though
capacity,
rarely
he
were
definitely in
people
some
of color
capacity
considered
helped the
equal
United
or
States,
bigoted.
Andrew Jackson.
This is the stage, following horrors.
And
Mr.
so,
Robert Charles of Mississippi was self-educated, highly
so
intelligent,
at one
and
point
very
he was
well
really
read.
considered a hero in New
He
Orleans. So
followed
that
the
was
teachings
a
of
kind of
controversial
thing.
and radical black
Okay.
leader slash
And
Pan
the
Africanist
park is and the park
Henry
is
Hill.
Now,
established,
this is the name of the program, right?
Native
Not the
and
Georgia,
it brought
USA,
together the
reaching
Chalmette
blacks
Battlefield, which
should
already
defend
existed.
themselves
so
with
that
guns
was
against the Ku
Oh,
Klux Klan.
oh,
And
right.
the Veritarian
He's
Preserve
already
was
racist
a state park that was called the
So this
Chalmette
is the program
kill black people
State
in the
Park.
United States.
And that's an area where John
Felt that
Lafitte
black
hung
people
out.
So that's
should
that.
consider returning to their ancestral home of Africa,
Right,
in
and there's a
particular,
town down there
the
named
nation
John
of
Lafitte.
Liberia.
Okay.
So very,
Originally
right.
by former
So
black
when they
U.S.
created the
slaves
park,
in
they brought those
1842.
two together, they
To
added
escape
some
from
sort
the
of
white
visitor center,
supremacist power structure in the
and they
USA.
called it John Lafitte.
Mr.
Partly
Charles
because
was
we already
also
had
a
the
sales agent for
park,
Turner's magazine,
partly
Voice of
because at that
Missions,
point,
which
Oh,
talked
wait, do we
about
have-
some
he
of
was
the
considered
previously
a
mentioned
hero.
race,
Yeah.
Slave trader was
exacting
not
Yeah.
detail and
Well,
analysis.
anything
In
that was
1896,
It's the same way with
Robert
Chateau
Charles
in
joined the
St. Louis.
International Migration
Augustus
Society,
Sherlock
okay.
a group which advocated sending black Americans to Liberia. Mr. Charles honestly felt that no black person would ever receive equal treatment as a citizen and human being in a country where the violent lynching of a black person took place every day. This country was also the same place where blacks were, by all accounts, not even allowed to vote or receive
Yeah,
equal
so
treatment and
It's
protection.
interesting, our superintendent has actually started talking about the national parks of South Louisiana, and he will name New Orleans Jazz, the Chalmette Battlefield, the Veritarian Preserve, the Acadian Cultural Center,
As equals
and not use,
Interesting.
right?
However, in reality,
That's not official, officially we are.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah.
or
Interesting.
unfair and
Interesting
inferior
nuanced way.
treatment by whites. One day, Robert
Some people
Charles
come to
became
visit us and
infuriated
they think it's all
after
gonna be
hearing the
about
grisly
feet, and we
news of
have
the
like
fate of a black man
little
in Atlanta
about
named
him,
Sam Hose.
and they're like, what is
Hose
the pirate?
was
And
ruthlessly
they're like, I'm like, well, here's the good, the bad, the young feet.
and allegedly raping his boss's white wife. The rape allegation later proved to be
But it's
false,
interesting, like,
as Mr.
conversations are
Hose was
changing.
nowhere near
So
the
more
house
and
at
more
the
we're
time
like,
he was raped.
why are you named for this guy?
The lynching of Sam Hose, by all accounts, was very gruesome and traumatic.
Which is, I think, for me,
Mr.
it's good,
Hose's
right?
nose,
That people,
ears, toes,
that especially
fingers,
white people are
genitals,
starting to
and
be
tongue
like,
were all cut off
wait
while
a
he was
minute.
alive, causing
Yeah.
him
Yeah, the
great
questions
pain.
are important.
He was also
I think
skinned
it's good to
alive,
ask some
doused in
questions.
kerosene, and set on
right,
fire,
you know, people's
tied to a
perceptions
tree. Hose's
change over time.
mutilated
I don't really,
and
I don't
postcards
know.
of the tragic
It's,
event
I know it's a
sold as
loaded
stores,
thing, but
malls,
revisionism
and
is,
other functions throughout
I'd
the
rather inclusion is, like, if you're going to, just say everything.
Approximately 11 p.m.
It's nothing wrong with saying everything.
And the only question is he a person you want in national park?
Right. Is he important enough? Well,
Two
he
suspicious
might be.
predominantly white neighborhood.
Yeah, you know,
They found Robert Charles
tell the whole story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I like the whole thing. I like is that people are beginning to actually inquire. People want to talk. People want to just know. Just
Moore hit Charles with his billy club. Moore and Charles pulled guns and exchanged shots. Reports like
yes.
first, both men received non-lethal gunshot wounds to the legs. Charles fled the scene to his residence,
Mhm.
leaving a trail
Mhm.
of blood. Pierce, also armed,
Yeah.
Charles ran. Charles had returned to his residence by early the next morning when police were trying to find him. Captain Day, the patrol wagon, approached
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
when the police tried to apprehend Charles.
That's what we like. We like. I don't know how we always we asked ourselves, how do we always get into these situations, because it's not something we court. It's not something it always just kind of happens, kind of morphs into something else, and it's like, okay, but that's a good thing. Yes. Yeah, he is from North Little Rock, so we moved back there 10 years ago. Hmm. And I'm from Memphis, so all of that loaded history. Yeah. None of which I know more than him, but because I don't have, my mind is like something can come in and go out. But like they tend to be more historians, he and Chris, um, which is why I guess I married him. It sounds like you.
These included a law establishing racial segregation for public facilities, including interstate railroad cars. Police newspapers contributed to racial tensions as they were becoming, quote, more stridently racist in their editorial columns and treatment of the news. The confrontational journalistic practices of Henry J. Hearsay and the state's newspaper caused racial rifts in New Orleans.
No. Oh, I know what it is. I don't have a reel on here. That's why I'm able to do this. A reel. No, I'm okay. Because then you won't have a reel, and then you'll need to do that. So as we are going to leave these on as we speak. As we're being interviewed, we will leave our mask on.
Yeah.
I should have thought to bring our black masks. I didn't think about it. I think I have them, but I can't remember. If I find them tonight, we'll wear them tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, on that note, let's make sure somebody knows to record tomorrow's session.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I could have just hooked up the drive to his thing and
What do you need?
output it. No, the problem is that I think there's so many things running through the CPU that he's just worried about, like, if I have it on the thing, it's gonna like tax the, But normally that's what you do. You just hook a drive up and send it out. I think I can come up with something tomorrow because tomorrow is less complicated. So
Yeah.
Of all the camera stuff, yeah.
Yes. I've got one with me, so I sort of feel like I might as well.
If you really need me to, I need to get a way to blur the audio
just want to make sure we can get them content. So we're gonna record this.
I usually buy the music edition.
Yeah, cool.
Figure out the format, so I'm always right now.
Yeah, it's a different one this year. We're doing greatest hits, so we're republishing a bunch of old stuff. Got a couple of new pieces. Rosetta Park so great at
So I have to figure out how to get the audio
I was able to find what I was looking for.
without the in-house audio doubling off.
But this one is
But
running.
basically, it isn't that easy, and I am talking about some work.
Oh yeah.
I know we would like it to sound smooth, yet the routing is what makes it so much better.
Yeah, we can't think about it.
yeah, and President Crash ran these new pieces.
I'm all about that.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, you're in the middle.
No, I'm just trying to get my, the event pulled up on my phone.
Did that work with the Zoom recording? Or
I'm not recording it, I'm
The volume turned down.
It's a good idea.
It's not a matter of you guys, I'm not recording you guys, I'm recording.
And it was gonna be cheaper for me to make long distance phone calls from my cell phone than to try to make them from the hotel room.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I decided to get it.
Recording to the cloud usually is the button.
Because I used to,
It's the way I have my interface audio.
Yeah,
calling
calling
cars,
cars,
Yeah.
and making long distance phone calls.
It's
and
not
making
me.
them and stuff, you know.
In the.
Because
Calling
trying to call
cards.
from a hotel.
that means the audio.
Well, when I lived in New York, you just got
It's just
a
the way that it's
phone.
right.
You went to Con Ed and only got a phone and didn't get any service. You did all your long distance calls on cars.
Oh, really?
That's the way we did it. We just get a line.
Yeah,
But long distance calls per minute, this and that, blah blah blah. They just went and got the best calling card and called home with that.
And I remember I had a European plane so that I could make calls from anybody. We went to Japan, and I was putting together a big band, 16 guys I got to call. So I'm calling guys. I got back, my bill was $1,200. You know, I called Sprint up, I said, look here, what happened to my European plan? Well, your European plan didn't extend to the Orient.
Wow.
I say, well, clearly I understood that it did.
Audio's not
I'm not gonna ask you just to wipe out the debt, but I'm asking you to read, you know, and lower something, you know. No, he ain't gonna do nothing. So it took me a year to pay him off. When I paid him off, NCI.
That's right.
Never, they tried to get me done with it. Yeah, so it was. Yeah, they got me good.
Check 1, 2, 2. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I didn't really make, I don't remember what I made, but, I mean, 1,200.
You didn't make any after you paid that cell phone
No,
bill?
absolutely not. It was, you know, and the funny thing about it, they clearly knew that. Because I had a European
Yeah,
plan,
right there.
you know, they gave me a better,
Sounds
little better
just
rate.
like the sound was.
We need confirmation.
We got you now, buddy.
Would you like a bottle of wine?
You like eggs now?
That's it. This is when we saw this thing about, I don't know what it was, at the end where they were like, what does the sun
It was a
actually
weather
sound
channel.
like?
Yeah.
Put your ear right up, right here, parallel. You hear how it changes? When it's like, oh.
This is a test record. Test record, check 1, 2. 2, 2. Yeah.
Hey, Ryan. It's an auto lock feature. But I opened it for him.
He opened it, and then when nobody was there.
Ryan. Start again.
I'm having a private summer. Oh, they have it on 10 degrees.
You started much softer than that.
Don't pause. Don't pause.
I'm just talking to the engineer. He doesn't have any good one.
Can you get something like that later? Don't let me put extra stuff on you.
Yeah, I don't
You
want to
know.
do that because he just said, he's not playing the piano during this thing, is he? I
No.
said, no. He goes, oh, thank God, because I have to do this, this, and this. He just said that 3 minutes
That's
ago.
fine, because when I heard it, man, I said, this is perfect.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
with you. I'm with you.
That's
If it was
okay.
easy, yeah.
Look here, man. It was so perfect, man. It was just. Well, you said we have to do it another time. You said just talk to the guy because when he heard you playing, he said, "You're not gonna be playing this because they're not set up."
No, I'm thinking about. I'm on thinking about the next.
I just hear things that works just that. In fact, when the Curtis or whatever this thing opened up, that's
Are now set up for it if you want to.
Oh no, I was just practicing for tomorrow. That's what I'm.
Just let me know ahead of time. It's not just like a surprise.
Oh no, I'm just. I know I'm not going to get a lot of private time to just.
Alright, that's cool. Totally can if you want to.
wow.
Shed.
Is that the?
I think that's our moderator.
It's the moderator.
Really? Yeah, dude.
I'm Ryan.
Hey. Nice meeting you. Thanks for being here.
Gary.
Oh, you bet. I'm so glad to have you.
That's okay.
Holidays I ever spent was I remember driving to Graceland for Christmas.
The funny thing, I don't tell anybody. I've never been in there, but I do want to go.
It's fun.
I know it's got
take
to
the
be.
platinum tour. It's
just-
fantastic. Yeah.
This growing up thing, has its own set of responsibilities that it imposes on you.
That's a very good way of putting it.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And a lot of times now when I'm in Memphis, I'm trying to see family, I'm trying to see friends, and it's just so little time.
There is
Sure.
Well,
so,
if you haven't seen Graceland
but I
right now,
know, I
then
got
you have
it.
lived a fairly happy life. It's not like,
I don't know. I would say every American needs to see Graceland once.
I got to go. I got to go. I want to go in the Lisa Marie too.
oh yeah, I did
Yeah,
that.
the planes.
That's the platinum tour.
Yeah.
It keeps
Guilty.
It keeps getting more and more expensive.
Guilty.
Take platinum. Oh my
Oh man.
So let me ask you this. I want to just make sure I have this right. Now, the educational component of the program, where you all are touring and doing panels, right? I mean, as residencies, is that correct?
I would say more accurately, that's probably a future vision.
Oh, okay.
So, this would be sort of the example of the first time that it's successfully happened.
Okay.
We have presented the combination panel masterclass performance 3 times in Little Rock.
Nice.
Once in 2017
That's okay.
during the 60th, and then this symphonic rearrangement in 2019. What's that? Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
So they're doing a master class tomorrow with students. So they're doing it, virtually, like we do everything now. So there'll be students both in New Orleans and up in Arkansas.
Okay.
Mostly college students, but also, I think students from NOCA. Did NOCA get in?
NOCA never
No,
did.
NOCA did.
I reached out to Mike Polera twice, never heard back.
Oh well.
We have commitments from UNO, Xavier, Little Rock Central, and Episcopal in Little Rock. Never heard back from NOCA, never heard back from Tulane or Loyola, unfortunately.
Well, people are busy.
Recording of it.
Hi, this is Clay Smith. You should be able to hear me, and if so, I'd like to see captions.
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe you guys should just make that decision amongst yourselves.
He's right here. So, more. Assigned to click. And you've been assigned. So thank you for your patience on that.
But I could be wrong.
It's up to you
I
guys.
think it's how.
It's a real pleasure to meet you.
I don't know which way to go.
Whatever you want to do is very nice to meet you. I've really enjoyed your work. Mm-hmm.
She was just asking, do you guys want to have your masks on during this or off or what?
It's up to you all. And we can certainly do it this way. It's no big deal either way. But it just seems like maybe a little bit of
mask
the.
when we're speaking. Pull the mask when we're speaking and put them back on when we're not. Is that?
Maybe that might work.
I'm just asking.
I just think
You guys can
I think it's how
decide.
you're comfortable.
If this is a video event, then we have to give people some kind of facial expressions.
Yes. You mean the automaton? The automaton work?
I think I would take mine off.
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
Simply because.
I promise not to look at you too soon.
Yeah, I know.
But I just.
Yeah, so she's one of the participants, and I selected the more button, and I have
People who are going to be
added her
watching,
to have closed caption.
you know, what I mean,
If that's what you're asking me.
we want to get them interested, right? And if they're not visually engaged, then they might go away. Is what I'm worried about. But on the
Well,
other
I
hand-
mean, I think
I'm speaking into a microphone in
within
tandem.
the
We're speaking on the phone with you right
event
now.
itself, we
So
probably
what
are
I'm saying, I
okay,
would
and then
like
we
to see
can
captioned because I have my Zoom window open. Does that make sense?
mask up as soon as we're
Gotcha.
done.
Yeah.
You're very nice to meet you. You're very nice. It just seems like kind of weird.
You guys,
It just seems like kind of weird.
Rock Central commitments. Cool. Maybe you guys should just make that.
It just seems like, but it just seems.
This separation here.
Yep. But you guys are comfortable with them being unmasked away from you? Okay.
Yeah, that's my main concern.
Yeah.
If,
I'll ask these guys
if
too.
everyone's comfortable, then I'm fine.
I'm okay.
And so I want to ask you. Okay, so Ryan is going to talk about in his introduction. We're going to talk about the the collaboration between Oxford American and the Park Service and the musicians. Is that correct or no?
Actually, no. I'm going to be very brief. I'm really just going to introduce. I'm really just going to introduce myself and and the OA and the park and thank sponsors and then turn it over to Karen.
Okay.
And I am going to
No, I just wanted to make
basically set the stage a little bit.
What I was going to ask is, are you guys
talk
comfortable?
just
if
real
they
briefly
remove their
about the
masks while
desegregation
they do this? Or do you
of
want them to do
Little
it?
Rock Central High in '57. Mentioned
I
that
meant
this
your
year,
crew and
this
you guys,
month
if you're
is the
are you
60th
comfortable with that?
anniversary of the desegregation of the schools in New Orleans
Great.
with the first grade girls.
Okay.
1960,
Additionally,
November
how do I
14,
remove
1960.
And they're going to frame up on you first.
And then set that the conversation tonight is really going to talk about
After you talk, though, and they
kind
go
of the
over to Karen.
intersection between jazz and civil rights movement.
Cool.
And then I'm going to turn it over to you. So,
Cool. I did. Okay, cool.
Yep. Sure.
So
No problem.
now I have sent you that API. I have my window open. Cool.
Funny, they were asking me. Bobby goes, "Don't you think this would make great for great exit?
I mean, I could have it
great
ready.
exit music?" I said, "No.
I can have it ready
Don't
if
do
it needs to be.
Don't worry
So I
about
just need to know
it.
ahead of time.
It was not planned. It's
Cool.
Yeah, we're good. We don't need to add any more.
And additionally, I just had my remote guest
Any
come
more
in, which is actually
complications
perfect
here?
because I need to also make sure that the voice that's coming in from my remote guest is also getting captioned.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, yeah, hey, my dad is coming.
Great.
The guest? No, I don't have her phone number or anything.
so Gwen is going to sit here,
Email, but I
and then
emailed her
she's
and
got,
she didn't get
this is
back
for her notes.
Do you need my number?
Unless,
to me. No, we're talking about somebody
I mean,
else.
it's
Okay, it's pretty noisy on this end.
Moment of extraordinary strain.
I don't think so. Do I need to turn off that menu of participants now? Well, actually, one second. Okay, she just captioned me. Hey, the captions look good on my end. Are you seeing them on your end? Okay.
I always
I am
feel
not seeing them on my end. Okay.
yeah, we're calling it a conversation.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, she did. So I'm in messaging with her now. I'll get off the phone with you. Thank you.
here, and I'll try to give you like 10 minutes.
Okay. I
And
will.
5 minutes.
At this number?
And
Okay.
and then when
thank you,
you're done, I'm just going to pop up at the very end.
Okay.
Thank everybody for the conversation. Let the folks know that the suite, a live performance of the suite will premiere on Facebook on December 3rd. So they can check back with us. And that's it, right?
Yeah, can you stand like?
You just
where
want to give me a wired mic? I mean,
Yeah, let's just have you stand right where you're. I think.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it could be far away. If it's still doing it, then we'll swap you out.
yeah.
Kid Jordan.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
Check, check, chickadee, check, 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 chickadee, check, check,
Okay,
check.
stand about right
Check,
here.
check, chickadee, check. Can you hear me, Rick? Can you hear me, Rick? How's it going, Rick?
Is it still doing it? Do you want to just give him a wired handheld mic?
It really is not related to this, but I'm sure you can.
I want you to get your hair done. You got a little
Am
time.
Am I good to go?
Actually,
check this.
Oh.
In the very beginning, is he directly contact camera or?
Yeah. So
Yep.
you're going to talk to this camera.
Okay.
And Karen's going to talk to this camera.
Right.
as well. So the sequence is going to
we
go
recorded in
him,
the kid here.
slow drift over to her.
Really?
Right.
And
And
then
it
over
was
to
his last recording with his best
He's going to
friend,
kind of cut to the wide in
Fielder,
between.
in this room.
In this
I always
room.
covered the shot of this.
Wow.
There is a weird sort of back tie-in.
Yeah.
Look at them and still talking to the mic?
I think so.
Or would it be better if I came at it from this side?
Whichever side you prefer.
Well, you know,
I have no business, so you might
Oh, come on.
You mean you can't get on your good
Hi, Julia. The captioner never got back to me. She sent me a text saying, "Hi, the captions look good on my end. Are you seeing them okay on your end?" And then I say no. And then
Yes, you're right.
You know, I saw hello to see if she's there, and she's still not there. Am I able to get her on the phone anyway? Could you have her call me?
I think you're right. I think you're right. Okay. All right. Let's see.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
Can I ask you a favor?
Yes, of course.
Can you give me one of those wonderful infectious laughs?
Say something funny.
I'm getting audio
What's a
into
good
my
joke?
Zoom meeting,
Anybody
which
got
I'm
a
confirming
joke?
right now.
I just want to make sure you don't clip.
Okay. I won't clip. I
I
won't.
don't want you not to laugh because I love your laugh. I think that's going to work.
All right.
And in fact, I'm going to test that. Check 1, 2. Yeah, yeah.
I just want to make sure you don't clip.
Okay.
Yeah, so the audio's coming out of the stream.
Say something. A good joke. Okay. I won't clip.
It means, to me, that would mean somebody who actually doesn't know any black people. And so they have this imagined idea of what a black person is that has been projected upon to them by people, by other forces or people that
Absolutely.
tell them.
Okay. Are you uncomfortable with me quoting D.L. Hughley?
Dude, you can say whatever you want, man.
Okay. I just didn't want to, but I didn't want to bring anything, because I'm.
That's a good joke.
This her magazine, man. This is what we do. We talk about civil rights in the
Okay. But I just,
Yeah.
because, I think it's important for people to understand what's going on.
Okay. This is
I'm not seeing this thing clearly. You don't even see me clearly. You think that I'm some beastly person.
Check 1, 2. We're checking on the captions.
You
Check
see
1,
me
2.
alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you are afraid of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
For no good reason.
Check 1, 2.
Yeah, man.
So that kind of stuff, people need to understand. You are already pre-positioned. You're already tensed up.
Hi, I clicked the settings, and it looks like the captioner is turned on, but I
so
just
you
need to see
know
the
that you've been
captions.
programmed that way.
If you
got
can
to
hear me at all.
deprogram yourself.
Yeah.
And the best way to do it is go get a friend.
Yeah. Go out and live in the world.
And so did you all drive down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a long drive, but it's a good drive,
you know?
In fact, that's
Yesterday was long.
It was long. We've done it before, but
No, you don't. You don't
Yeah.
never like a
understand the
power
kind of
drive
stuff,
like
man.
that.
Um,
That was a
Yeah.
power
Yourself,
drive.
I mean,
I don't want anything.
I remember I
It's
took
not
the
my
I
place
took the
to-
Natchez
to
Trace, I guess, back.
edit
Oh,
You know, and
yeah,
it's a
it's
long
a slow way to go.
It's a slow way to go, but it's a very
It is
beautiful way.
beautiful.
That's on my
That's
list of things to
gorgeous.
do, to drive the trace.
Yeah.
It's real beautiful.
Natchez up to
It's important.
You're good.
Nashville, I
You're
guess.
good.
No,
Please.
So
well, I like to do it right, man.
All right.
That's
I should turn this off. Okay. And we are pretending you're not here. Is that right? Or we're not playing to you all, to the camera? Jason! What do you think? Are we speaking to the camera? Are we speaking to each other? What do you suggest?
So the flow will go like this. So Karen and Ryan will be here. Ryan's going to do a little quick intro, hand off to Karen. Karen's going to talk. Karen will be focused on them, then she'll pitch to you.
Okay.
You welcome everybody.
Hello.
We're here.
Hello.
Let's introduce everybody. And then,
Hello.
And
I
then
don't
we're off
see
and running.
you.
It's really your show. So you direct questions that we'll cover.
Okay.
The whole group. Take
Okay.
shots of everyone who's talking. And
That works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what I was thinking about doing is to, instead of...
Right here. This is where you have, so you don't have to do anything. Right here, Dad. Hello.
And yeah, you're gonna. I cut off your audio for a second, and
Yeah.
I'll turn it on as soon as the stream starts. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Because my dad's getting ready to sit down. I just want to make
Absolutely.
sure everything was in place. Yeah. All right, Dad. They cut off the audio for a second. They said you can't see anybody yet.
Oh, he can't hear you.
Okay, so...
Kid! It's Chris!
It's Chris Park. We can't see you yet.
Yeah, not yet. I just have the screen on. So what I'm going to do now is you guys want to get say hi to each other. Then I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone's audio because we're going to go just to a still image that we don't want any audio associated with. When we actually live to a camera, I will let you guys know, and I will unmute the audio.
Oh, what is kids' daughter's name?
Rachel.
Hey,
Rachel.
Miss Rachel? Rachel, can you? Oh, what happened?
She's adjusting the camera.
Okay.
Yes.
He looks a little low in the frame. Can you tilt the screen down just a little bit?
About that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just putting my thing in just in case. How about that? Is that good?
Tilt it a little bit lower if you don't mind.
Okay. What about that?
That's better.
Center it? Is it centered?
Can you tilt it down a little bit?
Okay. Do you want me to take a box down?
Yeah, maybe.
Like it, just tilt the screen forward. Tilt the screen forward toward him.
If I tilt it forward, then it's like my iPhone is on my computer.
That's fine, and then cheat it a little bit to his left side,
Left?
just to make it more centered.
Yes, yes.
Keep going, a little bit more, a little bit more,
About that?
a little more, a little bit more. Great, wonderful. Thank you.
Cool. So we are. So right now, I'm going to be severing the audio.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry. Wait, is it centered?
Now he looks kind of low in the frame again.
We have 2 minutes to go live, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Tilt the screen forward just a little bit for me.
There it is.
There we go.
Okay, we're good with that.
Beautiful.
All right, now we're just going to mute everybody's mics. We're going to go live, and then we'll come back to you. So don't go away. You won't hear anything for a minute, but we're right here. And then we're going to do introductions and come back to you. So just stand
Hey,
by.
actually, as opposed to muting the mic, can everybody just be quiet for a minute? Is that possible?
Sure.
Thank you.
Everyone just kind of don't say anything for a minute while we do these introductions, okay? So y'all come on in. Okay. So let's go live to the screen, and then I'm going to cue ready to start. Is all the mics ready to go? Rick? Okay. You rolling your recording?
Yes. And we're now going live to Facebook and YouTube. Confirmation on those, please.
Just going to confirm we're live.
That's it, guys.
Success.
That's us.
Let's center them up, please. So have them move to the center of the live shot real quick. So
Oh, I see.
Karen,
Can you guys move to your right, please? You
I'll
as
s-
well? A little bit over to your left, like a half step.
Yeah, and
How's
spread
that?
out, social distance spread a little bit. Yeah, good. Okay. All right, and you know which camera you're looking at?
Good evening, and thanks for joining us. My name is Ryan Harris. I'm the executive director of the nonprofit Oxford American Magazine. If you're new to the Oxford American and just discovering us for the first time, welcome. We hope you'll stick around. You can become part of the OA community by visiting our website, oxfordamerican.org, following us on social media, or subscribing to the quarterly magazine. Tonight's event, Jazz and Civil Rights, Then and Now, is part of a multi-day residency the Oxford American's producing here in New Orleans in partnership with the National Park Service. But more than that, it's part of an ongoing conversation the Oxford American has been facilitating for the last 5 years through our No Tears Suite project, which you'll hear more about tonight. We're really grateful to our presenting partner, the National Park Service, for these events. We're working in partnership with them on this residency. But in addition to the National Park, I want to thank all of our sponsors and partners who have made this possible, including the Lower Mississippi Delta Initiative, Stella Boyle Smith Trust, Little Rock Central High School National Historic Site, New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park, and John Lafitte National Historic Park and Preserve. It's a mouthful. I'd now like to turn things over to Ranger Karen, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about the parks and her role.
Hello, I'm Ranger Karen. I work with both the New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park and the Jean Lafitte National Historical Park and Preserve, the national parks of South Louisiana. And the National Park Service is very proud to be partnering to present this conversation tonight. A little bit about where we are. We're at Marigny Studios, which in the 1950s was a dance hall in the Marigny neighborhood, just downriver from the French Quarter in New Orleans. Now it's a professional recording studio, so our panel members are sitting in front of lots of musical instruments and recording equipment. And this evening is about the intertwining of jazz, which was born here in New Orleans, and the American Civil Rights Movement. And Little Rock and New Orleans have a shared history in this movement. In 1957, 9 young people, men and women, desegregated Little Rock Central High School. They came to be known as the Little Rock Nine. 3 years later, just 60 years ago this month, New Orleans began to desegregate its schools, its elementary schools, with 4 6-year-old first-grade girls. The struggle for civil rights continues, as we know, and tonight we're going to talk about the deeply rooted and sometimes subtle ways that jazz has influenced the civil rights movement. Moderating our panel conversation tonight is Gwen Tompkins. She's a journalist and public radio veteran. She's currently the host of Music Inside Out on New Orleans public radio station WWNO. And she's the New Orleans reporter for NPR's World Cafe. I'm going to turn things over to Gwen and our panel. I hope you will enjoy this conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ranger Karen. I really appreciate being here. I'm thrilled to both and very grateful to both the Oxford American and to the National Park Service for its support of this wonderful event. I want to start off by mentioning Charles Houston, who was one of the great legal minds of the 20th century. He was one of the architects of the legal attack on Plessy versus Ferguson, the Supreme Court ruling that mandated separate but equal facilities around the nation. He said this really wonderful line that I want to share with you all, and that is, the test of character is the amount of strain it can bear. Right? So he might as well have been speaking for most of the musicians who are on the stage here tonight, as well as our guest who's visiting with us remotely. The No Tears Suite that the musicians here have created and brought into the world. This has taken 5 years to create as a jazz composition, to arrange for symphonic orchestration, to record as a studio album, and for the musicians here to embark on what may be a never-ending educational tour of master classes. Their goal is not only to share wonderful music, but also to acquaint audiences with a pivotal moment that revealed the American character at a moment of extraordinary strain. Does that sound familiar? Well, stick with us. To my left, Kelly Hurt and Christopher Parker are the people who wrote the words and music to the No Tears Suite. They've come to us all the way from Little Rock, driven here all the way from Little Rock, actually. Saxophonist Bobby Lavelle. He was one of the original players on the No Tears Suite performance and subsequent recording, and he joins us also. And then we lastly have Kid Jordan, the saxophonist and educator who has, he's a Lion of New Orleans and, of course, free jazz. And he is joining us remotely. And I want to say hello to all of you. Kid Jordan, Bobby Lavelle, Christopher Parker, and, of course, Kelly Hurt. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Okay, so let's start with you, Kelly Hurt and Chris Parker. You're commemorating the 1957 integration of Central High School in Little Rock, which is based on the memoir. Your work is based on this memoir called Warriors Don't Cry by Melba Patillo Beals. Now, Miss Beals' book was not the only memoir that was written by a member of the Little Rock Nine. But what was it about her memoir that spoke to you, that inspired you all to want to create this work?
Actually, it was really the first of the nine to actually speak, and there are actually some of the nine that still will not speak about it. And if you talk to Dr. Beals directly, she'll tell you it took her, what did she say, 5 to 7 years of therapy to write the book. And she's written a subsequent book, March On Girl. Elizabeth Eckford, the lady you see in most of the pictures walking by herself.
And being sort of catcalled by this crowd of very angry people, many women.
Yeah, she has written some accounts, but Dr. Beals, to me, is the definitive work, and it describes in detail the selection process, the training process, and all 3 attempts to go into the school, and then what that whole first school year was like. And if you've never read it, it is both some of the most engrossing and disturbing literature you will ever read. But it's a testimony to the human spirit. These were 9 children. These weren't grown people. These were children who did what the entire legislative body of the state of Arkansas failed to do. So it was a huge undertaking, and they weren't aware of what they were doing. So it was really the only primary source at the time that I felt I could turn to.
Interesting. And so, Kelly Hurt, there's some powerful phrasing in this suite. Particularly, it starts in the overture, actually, midway through the overture, and you start talking about by the numbers, and you sort of, give sort of a bird's eye view of
Yeah.
how this all, you know what I mean, of all the people, I guess, you know, I mean, not to make light of it, but, you know, it's an equivalent of all the gin joints in all the world, she had to walk into mine. And so, and so of all the people who were involved in the civil rights movement, it all comes down to these 9 little kids.
Yes.
You know, well, they're not little kids. I mean, they're high school students.
Yes.
But they're kids.
But they still are kids.
Yeah.
And that was the essence that Chris and I agreed that we wanted to just distill everything to that, because after you put all of this weight on these kids and you go beyond and everybody, you know, applies all of what they feel the kids need to do, need to go through. In the end of it, it was the children's decision to just basically get a better education and have fun for a year. As Dr. Veal said, we thought we were going to have fun. We thought we were going to have a good time. And even when the bad things began to happen, didn't realize that they weren't just going to happen for a couple of days or months. They happened for years to them.
She still does not reveal
Yes.
names and locations of her personal children. They
No.
still have death threats.
They still have threats. They still had many issues and obstacles, all of them to overcome. But at the end of it, one thing that they really appreciated was that we got to the essence of it. Just that these were 9 people, young people, who decided to make a decision, and it just ricocheted and just affected their parents, their other relatives, their neighbors, their friends, people who didn't even know them, and to have that powerful effect, that'll just affect you for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life, exactly. Bobby Lavelle, you were born in Memphis, and I don't think that you're old enough to have been around in 1957 when this was happening, but can you...
I was.
You were?
Yes, I was a kid. My being a part of this project affects me tremendously. I can't begin to tell you. When I was a child and I would get on the bus in Memphis, Tennessee, the driver would say, all colored to the back. When I would go downtown Memphis, there was a water fountain that said white. There was one that said colored. I remember the Dyer Restaurant. It's a big building, had 2 entrances. One was for whites and one was for blacks. And the diner where the food was cooked was in the center. The black side was never kept very well. The other side was always pristine. So I lived the civil rights movement, you know. So this is very important to me. And the thing that I can say from reading the book is people think that these kids went into this school and integrated the school, you know, and a year later everybody was happy. What they experienced is like what Chris has said and what Kelly has said, that they are being traumatized by it now. But further than that, and the black community is being traumatized in this country by people not knowing their history and believing that things that happened prior were a lot rosier than they were. D.L. Hughley, the comedian, says, the most dangerous place for a black person is in the imagination of white people. And I hope they hear that. I hope that does not anger you, but enlightens you. You know, that's my purpose. I hope something that I say rubs you a little bit. I hope it rubs you into the point that you want to know. Jeffrey Robinson, who was born in Memphis, Tennessee, has a series of lectures that you can find on YouTube and other places, where he talks about our history and the history that we refuse to talk about, and the history that if we don't get onto the table, we won't correct the problems that we are having today.
Well, you know what's interesting, though, about this very point that you're making, and I'm so glad you made it because I was planning on asking both of you to talk about it, which is when I listened to the original sextet performing the No Tears Suite, my immediate reaction was, this seems familiar to me. I heard something very similar to this, or participated in something similar to this, in church. Because in church, and particularly in black churches, there were all kinds of, not recreations of events, but at least recitations of events, you know, and all. And so I remember churches being sort of places where these kinds of stories were told until they got into the history books. You know? Was that your experience as well, Kelly Hurd?
Yes, and is why I agreed to do it. And I was just saying earlier that Chris and I, we always get into this situation. It's as if we will agree to do something because he didn't mention this, but one of the reasons we even had this book was because of his best friend. And he gave us that. And
Miss Beals's book, Dr. Beals's book.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And when we moved to North Little Rock 10 years ago, I noticed for the first time the Testament. Is that the name of it?
There's the statues of the Little Rock Nine. There's bronze statues behind the state capitol, and it's called Testament.
Testament on the north side of the Capitol. And it's beautiful. And I was like, because we never went that way, you know?
Yeah.
and I was like, I never noticed that. Well, it had just recently been set up. And I began to start asking questions, and our friend Danny Brown, he said, you need to talk, asking people about it. And we were fortunate enough to just start talking to different people who were historians of Little Rock. And they would say a little bit about it. And then we started realizing that people didn't really talk about it. His dad didn't talk about it. His mom she told us a little story about it that he may tell you more of. And about her experience
during that time,
one of those days, and she was a child, but no one really talks of that period because it was a very, very emotional and upsetting period that they say that was a bad time for us. That was really a bad time for everybody because it was very painful.
And so, was it discussed in churches, in churches that you recall, or treated in any kind of way in school? Where did you learn about this?
I first learned about it being from Memphis as well, which is steeped,
which is not that far from Little Rock, of course. It's just a couple hours.
I had heard of it through school.
Yeah,
through school, and just different periods of my life, I would just be reintroduced to things.
Okay.
And telling the stories. That's my family always told stories. So, and that was a way that I would kind of, you kind of find out about things and.
Sure.
Well,
Christopher Parker, Kelly Hurd has given you a great lead up. Do you want to share the story that your mother told you about her experience as a young white woman or young girl in Little Rock in 57?
Yeah. During that time period, my mother lived in the housing projects. In the 50s, housing projects were not considered black neighborhoods, first of all. Housing projects were integrated low-income housing.
That's right.
So she lived off of 12th near Pine and Cedar, which is real close to Central High. Her father had disappeared many years earlier into the United States Secret Service and apparently never existed according to government records. So her and her mother grew up, and her mother died when she was 13. So she learned to get around on her own at a young age, and she was told, don't go to Central High School today, don't go in the neighborhood today, it's going to be an ugly event. She thought that the integration was a celebration. It had been in a newspaper, so she thought that there was going to be a lot of people there and it was going to be a big party. So she skipped school and she went to Central High School. Well, when she got there, there was these hundreds and hundreds of people who she thought were there to celebrate the Little Rock Nine. And as the children began to come in, a photographer, when we had real flash bulbs on cameras, flashed her in the face as she was looking, and she said it was like a moment when she woke up a little bit, and she realized she wasn't looking at a celebration, she was looking at an angry, violent mob. And I mean, if you know the story, it took them 3 attempts to actually get in. At one point, there was 1,000 people trying to block their entrance. At different points, that included the National Guard was trying to prevent their entrance. That's why Eisenhower federalized the troops, because Faubus had actually used troops to block the entrance. So it was violent. And once she realized exactly how violent and scary it was, adults began to tell her, little girl, you need to go home. This is going to get ugly. And so it freaked her out. She ran all the way home. She ran in her room. She locked the door and hid till her mother came home from work. And, of course, her mother said, I told you, don't go down there. But her recollection was, I thought this was a celebration, and when I got there, I realized that they wanted to kill these children, and it was an extremely traumatic event for her, because she didn't have, as a child, she didn't know the social ramifications of what was actually going on at that time.
Well, so she didn't know to hate. Right. Is what you're saying.
Neither did she know that everyone there was there to hate.
Was there to hate.
Exactly.
And yeah.
Well, I tell you, Kid Jordan, I wanted to thank you for joining us, and I want to ask you. I mean, as a performer and as a young person during the 1950s, can you bring us back to your experience during that time? Where were you in 1957 when all of these events in Little Rock were taking place and unfolding? Were you here in New Orleans or were you elsewhere?
I was at Southern University in Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
And we all heard of Pharaoh Sanders. And he was Pharaoh Sanders was our school singer. He was a new guy on the block. Everybody was about Pharaoh. And when I heard him, I thought I heard it told me because Pharaow was real good to the young man.
Pharaoh's from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh, I see. Yes. And the thing is, and so I think that people tend to, as you said, Mr. Lavelle, people tend to look at history as something that was already settled. It's all been settled, Mm-hmm. But when you're going forward, when you're looking forward, Mr. Lavelle, Mr. Jordan, nothing is resolved. Nothing is sure. And so in Baton Rouge or in Memphis, if you were in Memphis, what were those days like when you were seeing these kids trying to get into the school?
I wasn't of an age where I saw it. And so I was born in 1951.
Okay, so you were really small.
I learned about it, but as I said, my experience, with the civil rights movement and prior to the civil rights movement is something it's very vivid in my mind. Being on a bus, and if I'm seated, and a white person got on that bus, and there was not another seat, he said, "Get up," and you had to surrender your seat. And the reason I bring this up because I need today's people to try to understand the trauma or the lasting trauma that these events have on someone like me. You know, I had another experience where my little brother was playing with a candy gun, and it was clear plastic, and you shoot the candy, and then he's shooting cars. The police ran this child into the house, and I came out, and they told me to get back in the house. My mother came out, and and they said, "What's the problem?" I'm gonna try to make this story a little short, but I want you to know what happened. They said, "Your son has a big mouth." She said, "What? My son has a big mouth." She said, "I'll tell you what, if he broke the law, take him to juvenile court. If he didn't, leave him alone." They left. The very next night, they knock on the door, and I go to the door, and I open the door, and the police officer pushes me and says, "Where's the fight?" I said, "There's no fight here." And he starts to walk into our house. My mother comes up the corridor, and she said, "Officer, I will speak to you in my living room." And he grabbed my mother. And at that point, I attacked him. The other officer attacked me. To make a long story short, I was arrested and my mother was arrested for no good reason. And I was traumatized that night. They slapped me around and stuff and did a lot of things and told me they would go back to the house and kill all of those ends, in that house, and it was, this still affects me when I see some of the things that are going on in the streets of our country now. I truly believe until we in this country dig up the dirt from our past, and I want to, at this point, I want to share something with you. And what affects me about this at this point is that so much of this, I'm just, hearing about. I knew about these things. This is a specific story I want to share, first of all. This guy, Sam Hose, in Atlanta in 1900, had a fight with his boss. The boss tried to kill him. He ended up killing the boss. After that happened, they accused him of having raped the boss's wife to exacerbate and accelerate the situation. Well, when they finally caught this man, they cut off his nose, his ears, his toes, his fingers, his genitals, and his tongue, all while he was alive. They doused him with kerosene and burned him. They took pictures of it, and at picnics later on, they would sell the pictures and even the body parts. Robert Charles of New Orleans, knew of this story when he had an encounter with the police. And I'm not going to go into the full story of that. But what happened is, from all of that precipitated a riot that happened here in New Orleans in 1900. Now,
Yes.
from 1900, I'm going to give you a chronological of lynchings.
No. I understand that. I appreciate that. But I have to say that because I would really like to talk a little bit more about music and the role between music and and what we're talking about.
Gwen, I will truly make the connection.
All right. I'm going to give you 1 minute, if you can do it in 1 minute, because we're really pressed for time. So I want to make sure everyone has a chance to speak.
Okay, I understand.
Yes.
But I tell you what, I will be, because I kind of feel like you're getting a little uncomfortable with this.
Well,
I can dispense with it. I can tell you this. My dad was a jazz musician in Memphis, Tennessee. And one of the things that he did is he would bring white people to our house, the musicians to our house, so that we would have personal encounters. I don't have any kind of bias in me. And I thank my parents for that because I've always had encounters. This man is my brother. I love him dearly. Okay? So I don't want you to be uncomfortable, but I think it's important, that we start to look at what happened in this country that causes before that what's causing what's going on now. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Okay.
No, that makes a great deal of sense, actually. And the point that I'm hoping that we can get to is the fact that this has been a very long, very violent, and unpleasant story that has, periodically some extraordinarily hopeful moments.
Yes.
And the story is as yet unfinished. But what's interesting about the Black American experience or African American experience and on this continent is that musically, that story has been told, whether it's been in the history books or not. You know, it started with spirituals, from spirituals to gospel music, from gospel music to the blues, from the blues to jazz, and all. And so, you know, each generation of musicians has been trying to tell its piece of this story, which is really interesting. And so I wanted to ask you, Mr. Jordan, during the 1950s, during that time when you were at Southern University, and if you can speak up when you answer, during the late 50s, you know, I mean, were there musicians around you? Were you interested in representing this particular moment in, you know, what I mean, in the life of the nation, in the life of African Americans who were trying to integrate schools?
I was, particularly in Pharoah Sanders, by him being a young man playing that kind of music. Pharoah was ahead of the majority of the people that we heard in universities. But Pharoah, as a young man, was really laying it down. I mean, he was playing some stuff that we heard Tran doing and thought it was such a magical thing at the time. So I really was impressed and still impressed with Pharoah. I can do some things now that are turning my head. So that's the kind of thing that really got to me. And I don't think I'm much older than Pharoah. We might be the same age, or we might be around the same age. But I had come up listening to Bird and different other people. But when I heard Pharoah wasn't playing Bird. Pharoah was playing the new music. You know, so
I want you to talk about the time.
And you know, it was part of the music of the civil rights. That, you know, that was the new music, and all the hippies was into it, and the civil rights people. They were dealing. So we had to. And one thing about music, when you listen to it, whether you like it or not, if you listen to it enough, something about it gonna make you want to jump into it or do the latest thing. One thing, music always keeps doing some of the latest things, or some of the things that's happening at the time.
True. You know, on Music Inside Out, this talk show that I do with musicians, I can't tell you how many musicians have talked to me about how inspirational the Miles Davis album 4 was to them. Right? Which is 4 was a live concert that was recorded in 1964. And if you're a trumpet player, if you're a keyboard player, if you're a sax player, you know, if from New Orleans at least, you're probably going to like 4, which is like one of the great live recordings. But what people don't often remember is that 4 was a live concert that was put on in New York to raise money for the voting drives in Mississippi and Louisiana. Okay, and so the marriage between music and civil rights, or music and improving the human condition, you know, is such a natural marriage. Mm-hmm. It really, really is. And so let me ask you this now: when Christopher Parker, of all of the songs that are on the No Tears Suite, my favorite, I have to say, my favorite composition is the one that's called "To Be a Kid." To be a kid. I mean, I wrote down, actually, it's not too sweet, it's not too hard. It's music that begins to skip, you know, with a childlike a heart of gladness. Yeah. You know, and all. And so how did you approach this song in terms of trying to weigh the gladness in the heart of a child next to the gravity of history?
Well, if you really listen to it, the beginning and the end of "To Be a Kid" are quite different in mood than the body of the song, especially the end of the original recording. The end of it is really quite sad and melancholy. So the message was, what is it like to be a kid when you're called on to do the work of the grown people?
Yeah.
You know, and you don't know what you're doing. You're doing it. It feels, as far as I could tell, it feels very strange. And when I talked to Elizabeth Eckford a few months ago, it seemed that it took her decades to just recuperate from. She honestly said, "I thought I was going to have fun.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a cool experience." And then the rest of her story was, I spent a few decades in St. Louis just wandering around trying to pull myself back together. So it was like, yeah, we're kids. We have the childlike spirit, but at the same time, I can relate from some other experiences in my life. Sometimes you don't get to be a kid.
Right.
You're a kid, but your life doesn't go that it's not all lollipops and we're going to play in the park and everyone in our house gets along. Perhaps you come from a broken home or a home where you have to grow up way too fast. So I was just playing with that duality of both being a child and being confronted with real adult issues.
Exactly. And do you have any thoughts about that as well?
Well, I think I remember when we were sitting there talking to her, and she recounted that during this whole process, when they were at Central High School, and there was a dance that was going on. Was that back at Horace Mann?
Right.
And there was a dance, and they were all excited because they were going to be back with their friends.
Because Horace Mann was the black
Yeah.
high school
Yes.
in Little Rock at the
And
time.
I currently teach orchestra.
He
at
teaches
Horace.
at Horace Mann. But they were having a dance, and they were excited because they were going to be able to hang around their friends again, you know, and
Yeah.
kind of feel better, you know, like they used to feel, and hang around with each other. And she said, and you want to know what happened? Well, we all got there, and we kind of tried to mingle with everybody, and everybody was all excited, and we all ended up all together in like one area of the place, just all together. And then she said it was when we realized we can't go back. We can't even hang with our friends anymore. We can't be as carefree as we used to, and because that she said that happiness and then that melancholy and everything, she said that was real, and that was kind of when we all kind of realized every time we would go somewhere and they would try to separate and not go places together, they would always end up being together.
Yeah. Well, it's true. I mean,
because of the shared experience.
The shared experience. That's exactly right. And you know, it's going to bind them forever, and it did bind them forever, actually.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I mean, you say the names today, and you normally, just as in the selection called roll call, you say their full names and all, and they sound all so important. But then you look at the names: Minnie Jean, Terrence, Thelma, Daisy, Jefferson, Carlotta, Elizabeth, Ernest, Gloria. I mean, these are people that we all know. These people. Everybody knows a Gloria.
Yeah.
Everybody knows I wish everybody knew a Minnie Jean. That name's not so popular anymore. But these are like real people, you know, real young people. But you also bring up a really interesting point, and I wanted to ask you, Mr. Lavelle, about it. You know, at that time in 1957, when before President Eisenhower sent federalized the National Guard, the Arkansas Guard, and to protect those children, there was only one jazz musician who came out strongly and spoke in a way that would get President Eisenhower's attention and shame him into action, and that was Louis Armstrong. You know what I mean? Who everyone, so many people at that time, particularly black people, thought was out of step with the race question, and all. And so, why do you suppose so many jazz musicians were so quiet at that time?
I can't speak on that.
Okay, Kid Jordan, would you like to share?
Yeah, I can speak on that. there was a lot of prejudice going on. Like a young person come up, I remember I used to have some ideas about music that people thought I was completely crazy. And I wish I could be doing some of them things now. Uh, they say, man, this dude can't hear. He don't hear this, he don't hear that. And we were breaking things down instead of just playing the blues. There's a lot of different ways you can play things. And people from different generations break down. You don't have to play exactly 1-4-5 like they was playing the blues before. And some of the people used to say, man, kids can't hear. And I'd be right in the supposed to be, and I'd be doing what I was. And it was all prejudice going down. And some of the musicians, when you came up with something different, new, and practice on something and got it together, they look at you like you're crazy. And some of them would say, oh man, I can't use kids, because kids going to be doing this, he's going to be doing that. But I was trying to inject some of the newer things that I was hearing at the time. And it may be the same thing going on now, because I see some youngsters that I hear them talking like, say, man, this dude's so, I say, watch him. In the next 5 or 10 years, if y'all let him go, he may not make a whole lot of money, but he'll be able to deal with what's going on.
So why do you suppose, Mr. Jordan, why do you suppose so many jazz musicians, prominent ones at that time in the late 1950s, so many were quiet at the time of the Little Rock Central High story? Why was Louis Armstrong out there by himself saying, look, President Eisenhower, do something?
Well, you know, they were making gigs, and they thought, I guess, if they would get out too far, that they wouldn't be able to make the gig. And after they heard Cecil Taylor and some of them other people, I mean, the music, even Bird at a time dealing with his stuff. Because Bird went to Canada and all different places. But it was just a problem getting new music out. Trent had problems getting his music out.
Certainly did.
Anything new, you know what I mean? You just have a problem getting new. And it took the swing out of it, you know. See, if it ain't got that swing. But with me, I didn't care about swing or how the changes went down this. I knew if I was playing correctly, that I was doing what I wanted to do. And you have to have nerve in order to do that. A lot of people didn't have enough nerve to stand on a bandstand and people say, man, he can't hear. How somebody can say Cecil Taylor can't hear? You understand what I'm saying? So,
Understand what you're saying.
That's right. I mean, I don't know, like Cecil, and even at one time they said Miles couldn't hear. Said, man, Miles
right.
And that. But everything must change. As old as I am, I'm looking for changes now.
Well, I'm sorry. I wanted to. I think Chris Parker wanted to respond to something you were saying. So go ahead, Chris Parker.
What's interesting about what Kid is saying is that, first of all, he didn't give his background. Kid came up playing the straight up and down 1-4-5 blues with guys like Guitar Slim. It wasn't that he hadn't played the blues. I mean, tell me if I'm lying, Kid, but you played a whole lot of blues gigs. I mean, the real blues. So for you to make a departure, that was your choice.
But then
that's what we had to do as black musicians. Play the blues all night long. Now you change keys, but and it was wonderful because it put you in all kinds of now the kids play F, B flat, they didn't put you in any kind of key, and you had to hear it. It would open our ears up. But now you talk about put a blues in D, blues in one of them odd kids, they look at you like you're crazy. But a key don't mean nothing to me. Kid get on the same with me. I said, we in whiskey. And we just go head on.
Civil rights thing.
You know.
Civil rights.
So that's part of the thing.
Fair for me to also glean from what Kid Jordan is saying, that musicians who were interested in continuing their careers, particularly those who are on thin ice anyway, because they're doing something unusual in the business, they're doing something unusual in music, that they felt perhaps that they could not afford to draw negative attention to themselves for fear of losing their careers.
Yeah, that was the conflict. That was taught to me. That was in my singing career. I've sung many different styles and everything, and part of that is because you have to have the confidence to step out and just do it. And a lot of times, being a musician, you are confronted just as you are with everyday life, or whether you want to step out and rock the boat. And like I said earlier, we didn't know that we were going to just doing this project in Little Rock. Just made a lot of little bitty waves for us.
Is that right?
We did not know. We did not expect that.
So describe waves. Describe waves.
Well, you know, motion in the ocean, the way.
I'd like to share a story.
Okay.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about black men who had businesses who had failed, and it was my little understanding that they didn't work hard enough, they didn't do what they should do to maintain their businesses. And then it was brought to my attention that the white business owners who were in the same business got together and operated their business at a loss for more than a year. He couldn't afford to do that, and they put him out of business. You know, so to say that all the other musicians didn't support the effort, I would think would be entirely a misnomer.
Okay.
As I said, I'm not old enough to have been there, but the musicians that I know, and especially those that play this music, are very, very, very well-read, are very in touch with what happens politically throughout the nation and the world. They're some of the most fascinating people. I enjoy talking and listening to them. I learned so much, but I don't want to say that their courage wasn't there.
Yeah.
But I do know that all of us as human beings, survival is the first law that we have to recognize to be able to be okay.
That's what your
So
dad
I'm going to
taught
kind
me.
of close it out there. I would think it would be more something like that than that they didn't support. They probably had to pick their support
You
in
had to pick
specific
your
ways.
spots. Right.
And the other thing that I have to say about 1957 in that time, see, a lot of times people think that media was like it is now. You didn't hear about those things. You didn't even know what was going on if it didn't happen in your city. It wasn't on the news. It wasn't on the news until later. It may have been on the news in New York and some other more progressive places, but not in the South, not where I was. There's so much of things that happened, so many things happened that we found out about years later.
Years later.
And now and you can attribute that to the entire country when you think about so much history, like some of the stuff that I was reading, that it upsets our stomach. It bothers us. But we've got to go back and dig it up and look at it so that we can understand what's going on now, because we are all the result of our past and of our experiences.
It's true. It's interesting that you should raise these questions about picking your battles. You know, musicians who pick their battles, particularly at a time that was so fraught in American
not just
history.
musicians. I mean, just everybody.
In
every walk of
absolutely.
life. You know,
but just
you
for
have
the
to
purposes
know.
of our
Yeah.
conversation,
Okay.
We're talking specifically about musicians. But it's true, you know, because Armstrong was also criticized because he didn't march. You know, with you know what I mean, at Selma and at different places, and he said, my concern about marching, he said, was that I knew that the first thing that would happen if there was violence was that someone was going to hit me in my mouth, and if I can't play trumpet, then I'm no longer Louis Armstrong.
Absolutely.
You know, and so you make great sense actually when you're talking about knowing where you can be the most effective, where
Absolutely.
it won't kill you.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
There's just a few short things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Jordan.
And that was thing, there's a lot of racism going on too. You could do some of the rhythms that we was dealing with, the other people that we was playing with couldn't deal with it. It was too advanced. Rock and roll, they talked about rock and roll, but a lot of musicians really didn't get into the real rhythmic part till they got to rock and roll. And they were learning rock and roll like they were learning ABCs at one time. I remember musicians saying, man, how y'all do that, man? How you do this? How you do that? And have to go through it, especially in them turnbacks when they be playing some stuff and put a little, look back, drop a beat. Say, man, y'all lost a beat, y'all dropped a beat. Say, yeah, we did all kinds of stuff in order to get the music old. Because everybody doesn't feel, y'all know that everybody doesn't feel music the way we feel it. So that's one of the great parts of music that we lost, coming from playing rhythm and blues and the jazz. And a lot of the things in the jazz thing didn't get over. They had to compromise in order to do it. So that's one big thing.
That makes sense.
The musicologists don't get into that part, but that's one of the parts that I deal with. I even see some little kids now that's doing rhythm, and have another group of kids that can't do it to save their life. Say, man, this is so and so and so. So it's one of them kinds of things. And they had a lot of racism in the 50s. A lot of stuff going on in the 50s. And if you didn't, a lot of musicians really didn't want to play rock and roll, whether they all know that or not. But they set up the music so they could go out and make money. Some people will say, man, I don't want to play no more rock, or so and so and so. But they had to do it in order to make money. I think rock and roll helped music in a way, and sometimes I tell people it's sort of retarded music. People look at me like I'm crazy. I said, man, during the rock and roll, during that period, had a lot of I know I was dealing with young people there, and they were all of them coming up with all kinds of rhythm and all kinds of things. But the musicians had lost the people. And if you lose them, then you don't have a gig. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does make sense. And
you lose the people. Some of that music was just too hip for what they couldn't dance to.
And so it's true, it's true what you're saying, and the idea of rock and roll and versus jazz, and both genres. It's foolish to really think about genres because I don't think musicians ever really care about genre. No. but except in the marketplace, But the thing is. But both, but musicians in all genres are trying to, in some way, testify, give witness to their time, irrespective of the instrumentation or the genre, it seems, right? But at the same time, I did want to go back to you, Chris Parker, because you were just about to say something.
Well, all those conversations brought up a few things, and then what you also have to remember. There's a famous story about Charlie Parker going up to a concert of one of his idols who had chosen to play rock and roll to make a living, and then taking a man's horn to see would it play more than one note at one time. So even within the musical community, there was a certain type of a divide of I'm trying not to just go into more of a street vernacular, but you know, man, I'm trying to make a living, man, and you over there playing that mess, trying to play that advanced stuff, and you need to get away from me because I'm trying to make a living. You're going to mess it up for me. And I had many older musicians, a pianist from named Charles Thomas, who could play any type of music there was, but for a living, you may hear him play Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, or Floyd Kramer, or Bette Midler's Wind Beneath My Wings. And then when people left, you may hear him play Un Poco Loco by Bud Powell, or McCoy Tyner, Baha'i Festival, or John Coltrane's The Promise, and then another person walks in a room and he plays Chariots of Fire. So he was very well versed, but he remembers a period of time when playing so-called hip music almost identified you as a undesirable musician within the music community itself. Right. I'm not talking about white people, talking about black people. I'm talking about black musicians, talking about black musicians.
Right. An upstart.
Man, you trying to mess this gig up for me. We trying to make this money playing Summertime for these white folks, and you over here trying to play like Coltrane, and you gonna mess this gig up, man. We ain't calling you no more.
Right.
And I think Kid experienced more than his share of that kind of situation because he wasn't gonna compromise. You wasn't gonna compromise.
That's.
I wrote a tune called "No Compromise." That's right. Hallelujah. That's the abstract truth there.
Mr. Jordan, can you speak up, please? Because we want to hear you, but I'm having trouble hearing you.
I said, that's the hallelujah there. That's the abstract truth. I go on a gig, and people say, that man got a degree. He done been to school. But listen how he plays. They shouldn't even let him in this place. I said, that's all right. I'm still going to do what I want to do. I want to do my thing. Black musicians. That's right.
And so let me ask all of you. You all are all musicians. We can start with any which way you want. You know, when you are creating music, is it within your experience where you want to create something with a political message, or does the music just begin as, in a different realm and then happen to take on a political message?
It does for me. I like, as I said earlier, a lot of different styles. Mm-hmm. But when you say that, it just kind of morphs sometimes our music. We've been told quite often that our end results are political. And we've had to be okay with that.
But they don't start political.
They don't necessarily start that way. Mm-hmm. And, we don't... for this project, because of the content, of course.
Right.
But some of our earlier works, they didn't necessarily start out that way. I've written songs about being in Dubai and having to stay on a plane, and while the sheikh and the sheikhs and their entourages get off planes, I've actually talked to different people across parts of the world, and then they ended up being a song for me. And so it doesn't really start out that way, but sometimes it'll go that way, and I just had to accept the fact that it's going to go that way.
And so do you agree, Chris Parker? I mean, does your music just start in the ether, or does it start from a political place?
Well, music starts from all kinds of places. So it depends on what strikes your mood. Especially jazz musicians, we live in the moment. So you may wake up and see a beautiful sunrise, and maybe you want to play off of that. and then you may turn on the TV and see some stuff that messes your head up, and so you respond to that too. You got to remember, a lot of people call Train, well, why does he sound so angry? Why is he this? Why is he that? And then when everything I've heard interviews, I didn't get to meet Coltrane. I mean, I know Kid got to meet Coltrane, but I don't think he was thinking of anything but his horn. And they drew inferences based on what was going on. Kid was just playing more off the energy of the moment. And if you drew a political conclusion, okay, fine. Sure, when he wrote Alabama, that's a direct thing. Sure, when Mingus wrote Fables of Faubus, that was a direct thing. Okay, but not every time that they picked up their instrument to play was it about politics. But the energy that they brought, a lot of people might be a little hypersensitive and have a little bit of a guilt trip. And so it's not easy to you can trigger an emotion quite easily in them, and you didn't mean to make them feel that,
That's what I mean by waves.
Now they're like, why is he so angry? Why is he hollering on his horn? Why won't he play something I know? And it's
why does she sound like she's crying? Why is he...
Well, we're just playing our music. You're the one with these emotional responses to our music. We didn't... in other words, sometimes it's direct and sometimes it's not.
I see. And so, Mr. Lavelle, I mean, jazz has often been called black liberation music. Is it simply a political act to be a jazz musician?
No, because musicians don't have any. The music chooses us, first of all. We don't choose the music, and I learned that. My commitment. People don't understand how a person of my age can be committed, to getting up and practicing, daily, until I can't, I don't practice as long as I did when I was younger, but I do it daily, and I do it with the same intensity. And back to your question, sometimes I write things that are specifically political. That was my objective, and that's what I was looking to do. And sometimes things write themselves based on my emotions, like what Chris was saying, however I'm feeling. It could, in fact, I heard it somewhere. I'm not the one who originated this, but they said once you can expose yourself, you'll become a great songwriter. And to expose yourself emotionally, if you were in love and she broke your heart, and you can really express that honestly and completely, and let somebody see you,
right?
Being vulnerable like that, that's someone can share in that because they felt that too. And so we have a kinship in that particular song. So it's various emotions, various things, precipitate a song.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter, that is one of the allures of particularly early country music. The storytelling and the emotional honesty. There's a great story about Bird,
period.
Who would listen to country music, on the jukebox and say,
but
stories,
it's not just country music; it's in music, period.
Oh no, of course,
yeah.
Of course. I'm just teasing out something from what you're saying, in that sense.
There's some songs, Broadway songs, that will rip your heart out if you listen to the story.
Yes.
I kind of miss that in today's music. They go for the beat real quick before they have a full and complete story.
Yeah.
I
miss that too.
Yeah.
The lyrics are
kind of get back a little.
The melodies out.
A little of that.
Did we lose Kid?
Have
we lost?
Okay. There you. Oh, I thought we lost you. I'm so happy to know that you're there.
Comfort break. A comfort break.
I do want to share one thing, however. When I was in college, I used to make it my business to be the guy who would carry musicians around when they came to town. My favorite vibraphone player of all time was Milt Jackson. And Kelly's brother and I got the job to drive Milt Jackson around for a day, and so I went and got Kelly's brother. I knew Kelly's brother before we were ever married, and I also knew her uncle Frank Lowe before we were ever married.
Yep.
But Milt drove us around, and he said many things that day, and of the few things I can tell you in public, one thing he said was, it was his firm belief that in the 1960s, the government made a concerted effort to remove jazz from the black community because it was an enlightening music in which the listener had to think, and they did not like that element. And so they tried to remove jazz. They put it in white educational settings. They did anything they could, but leave... Again, not to be too vernacular, but they weren't going to leave jazz in the hood because it enlightened black people's minds. And at that time, I thought, wow, that's really, I don't know if I can agree with that. However, if you look at the music that is now fed daily to the African American community, and I mean, when you drive your children to school, turn the radio on and see what they are listening to. It is extremely the opposite of listening to Charlie Parker and John Coltrane and the effect that that has on your cognitive function.
Chris, there was one year I was in Japan. In the elevator, jazz was played. In the restaurant, jazz was played. We stopped at a gas station, jazz was playing, and we asked, why do you listen to so much jazz? And it was told to us that we found that people were more productive when they were listening to jazz than when they were listening to any other music. I don't know how true it is. I just know that's what we were told. So that's very interesting.
That is interesting. That really is. And, you know, they say that the 20th century was the rhythm century, you know, but sometimes the rhythm, sometimes at the expense of melody, which, you know what I mean, and in the melody can sometimes come the message, you know. So, Mr. Jordan, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, good. Oh, good. And so let me ask you this. I mean, when you think about your own music, when you have created your music, is it a reflection of you and your times, or do you see it as something different from that?
I try to play in the moment. If like people use keys. And when
Speak up.
When I get on a bandstand, instead of using keys, I tell them, say, what key? Whiskey. So we can start from there. And if I get with people who really can't hear, it's a problem. But if they can follow me with the keys, or I can follow them, I'll go where they go, or they go where I go, then it's more of a marriage.
Of a marriage. Yeah, Mr. Jordan, please come a little bit closer to the microphone and speak up a little bit, because I know that you have spent a lot of time in Europe playing, and so can you talk a little bit about the reception that you're receiving in Europe versus your experiences in the United States?
Well, in Europe, I get a better reception because they know they have an idea what I'm going to do. But in the United States, they want to throw you in 2 to 5 or so and so and so and box you in. But in Europe, sometimes I play with people and say, where this chord came from? Or what kind of key we in? We in such and such and such. And a lot of times I don't even think about key. Say, what key? We in whiskey. And we just go on and do what we got to do. You know, because it's all music and ain't nobody going to die from it. You're not killing nobody. You know what I mean? And if you dare to be a star, then I wouldn't be there if I was trying to be a star. Because I've been with all them rhythm and blues players, and half of them was out of tune when they were singing. I used to be with rhythm and blues players. They'd have to go practice a half a day to keep them in key, especially when it was putting out for them. them hip rhythm and blues label, you know. So it's all a crapshoot.
And so
I'd like to comment.
And if
The
you
first
wanna
time-
do it, have fun.
I love that. I love
the first
that.
time I was out of the country, we went to France. There was a festival in France, and they had 3 stages in a big area. And to make a long story short, throughout that area, they had busts of various jazz musicians, honoring various jazz musicians. I've never seen anything like that here. So they had a much greater respect for what the jazz musicians were doing and are doing than we have here. You know, the music, like Chris said, this music is suppressed, and I don't know why. It is a wonderful music. It's not going to die. You know, it's going to be around forever. But it has been really damaged here in this country.
And so we don't have very much time left, but I wanted to leave the last question to the two of you, Kelly Hurt and Christopher Parker. When you think about music, the music that you're going to create that will represent this moment in time, we're living at a very contentious moment in American life. We have an unresolved election. We have unresolved feelings of discontent and anger between strangers, you know, in this country. You know, I mean, what is your music going to sound like, do you think?
Ask an easy question.
I'll tell you this. It has been 5 years of surprises for us. That this music, we kind of joked about it as he started the initial process, and we started outlining together how it was gonna come together, and we are surprised every year by the longevity of this piece, simply because it's so relevant to now. And each year that passed, we would go, wow. This is actually a living musical art, and that's what I can say. That's what we always try to produce, and we try to always perform in the moment. So the same song that you may know, it's probably going to sound different the next time you hear it. And also with this piece that we're doing now, we call it a living art because, like, the words that you hear me doing the narrative, they change. They eventually change, they evolve. The more we meet people, the members of the Nine, they change to reflect what's going on currently, and it's just so relevant to today. So,
you know, they asked Monk that, where's jazz going? And he said, I don't know where jazz is going. It's going where the musicians take it. Maybe it's going to hell. That's in a Downbeat interview. And I think that for me, I'm not going to be so radical, but what I've realized, especially in the middle of the turbulence, is that as a culture, we are tremendously out of tune. And that's the best way I can put it. We are out of tune with the earth itself. We're out of tune with each other. We're out of tune with our own selves. People say things that don't even make sense to their own selves. So what I'm looking for at this point is a type of music that can somehow relax people to get back. You know, kids talking about people being out of tune. Is it a way that that we can play something that will draw people back? And I'm not talking about A440. I'm talking that's a musical term for those of you who don't know what A440 is. I'm not talking about specific in-tuneness on a tuning scale. I'm talking about to be in tune with each other. Can we find a way to play music? Because ultimately the best music, when you hear a band that's in tune with each other, like today we played with Brian on drums.
Brian Blade?
Yes, and Roland Guerin. And the fact that they had known each other so long, their in tuneness with each other, that was just inspiring. Yes. So I'm looking, I don't know where the music is going. Maybe it is going to hell. But what I'm looking for is a music that will somehow pull a group in tune with each other and an audience back in tune with humanity's out of touch with its own self.
Christopher Parker, Kelly Hurt, and Bobby Lavelle joined us. They are the creators of a wonderful piece of music called the No Tears Suite. And Kid Jordan, the saxophonist and educator and all-around hero of jazz.
We love you,
us.
Kid.
Love you.
Also, remotely. My name is Gwen Tompkins. It's been a pleasure. Oh, it's been a pleasure talking to you all. And thank you to Oxford American and to the National Park Service.
And I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you to all of the panel members, Oxford American, our other co-sponsors. The National Park Service was proud to bring you this event. Tune back in on December 3rd. We're going to be streaming a concert production of the No Tears Suite. So join back in December 3rd. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. We'll see you then. Thanks.
Now let's put our masks back on.
Damn, you just